Welcome to another deadline stream ahead of Gameweek 23, and just when we thought it wasn't going to be too chaotic, more news breaks out just on the eve and even on the day of the deadline. So yeah, there's so much to think about. As you can see, Ronaldo is flagged. He's got a neck injury. He could potentially miss out against West Ham. That could be a problem. And yeah, I think that transfer's probably well, I have to say that and Trossard are looking like the worst transfers of the season. It's going to be a very tough call. I already got rid of Trossard for Rafinha, and I thought, you know what, that's it. You know, early transfers before the live stream started, which is very good news, and it hasn't happened in such a long time. Well, guess what? It looks like I'm going to have to take a hit potentially. If not, might just keep Ronaldo, roll with it. Gray or Cucurella can come in, and let's see what happens. I've got some transfer plans looking ahead as well. We'll wait and see what happens there, but in the end, all these plans just seem to be ripped up, so you've got to keep adapting, but at the same time, a lot of luck is introduced into the equation. Thank you to everyone who's been tuning in. I'm going to try and get through as many questions as possible, but do not spam the chat, otherwise I'm going to have to time people out and also ban people. So welcome Lager, welcome Nicholas. Should I transfer Dyer to cash? I saw he was fit today. The thing is, I probably wouldn't make that transfer just yet, even though Spurs do play Chelsea. I would probably just wait and see for confirmation for a double for Aston Villa, probably ahead of Gameweek 24, and then make that move. Is Ronaldo fit? Who knows, mate? But it looks like it's going to be a little race for time for Ronaldo. You know, I wouldn't be too surprised if he does start, but he's just been an awful transfer in general. Triple captain Dennis, a good strategy. It's not a bad one, but I probably wouldn't, to be honest. But then again, you looked at last week, people would have said no probably to triple captain Bruno, and look how well he did, so you never know. Mount to KDB, Gray to KDB, or Rashford to KDB. Probably Rashford or Mount, and because of the blanks, I would probably go for Mount to KDB, but Rashford for me is just a no-go. I'd get rid of him as well. Start Ramsdale or Foster, probably Foster because of the double, and they're good fixtures, so I'd probably go for him. Hi Dylan, Livramento to who? Any ideas? Already have Cody, Rudiger, Trent and Diaz. Consider Laporte, and he could also be a Rudiger replacement. If you want a cheap defender, go for Lowton. I'm not a huge fan of him. I talked about him being a skip in the transfer tips video, but you can still go for him as well. Good evening to you as well, Rania. Cody, Kilman or Cash? I prefer Cody long term, but Cash has the doubles and the best fixtures of the lot, but I'd go for Cody. I made Bowen and Ramsey transfer. Was it good to do it? Yeah, I guess so. Ramsey's probably the best 4.6 million midfielder, but he's not really necessarily someone you'd want to start most weeks, but you never know. Why isn't Dennis on the poll? Because I already got him in. Antonio out for King. That's the thing though. I'm not too sure about that. But if you're looking at this week in particular, you'd expect King to massively outscore Antonio. But I'm not too sure about longer term. And that's why I'm considering Watkins over King, despite the fact that obviously King is by far the better asset in this game week. Welcome Akraf. Over 100 points at a great game week. Hopefully can be another good week again. Yeah, I mean, if I even got close to 100 points at this point, you know, I'd be very happy with that, but it's not looking likely with all the problems. Dylan, KDB instead of Bruno and King instead of Antonio or DCL, but is it worth transferring out Bruno because Ronaldo's a doubt? I wouldn't take out Bruno. If anything, I'd like to have Bruno because Ronaldo's out. I think he's a better asset when Ronaldo isn't in the team. Should I bring in King for Calvert-Lewin? I already have Dennis. That's the thing. That's a good question. But Calvert-Lewin, you know, Duncan Ferguson's there. He could have a sparky little reaction from Everton and also some good fixtures. I'm not too sure about that. But yeah, I mean, I definitely expect King to outscore him this week. I'm not sure about longer term. Would you captain KDB or King? I would probably captain King. But then again, you know, KDB in that single game week can easily outscore him. But in the last few times City have gone to St. Mary's, it's been quite close affairs. But it's up to you. Livramento and Son to KDB and Digne for a -4. Probably not yet. I like the transfers, but I'm not sure if I get Digne just yet. CR7 for Dennis and Trossard for KDB. Looks good. I'd go for it. Ronaldo and Trossard for Dennis and Rafinha -4. Already have King. Yep, that looks good as well. And that's pretty similar to what I've done, actually. Ronaldo to Dennis for a -4. Already own King. I probably would, to be honest. But just bear in mind, there is a risk or a chance of Ronaldo starting and doing very well. You always have to account for that. Is Kane a good replacement for Ronaldo? He is, but I wouldn't get him in this week because he's facing Chelsea. And it also makes it more difficult to get Salah later on. So I probably wouldn't go there if possible, but he is a good replacement. Thoughts on Coutinho? I've talked about him in my last few videos, so pretty much the same thoughts as there. I think his minutes might get managed. And actually, in terms of the double game week for Leeds or Aston Villa, potentially, I mean, it's not looking likely at the moment anyway, but he shouldn't really collide or clash with the internationals, so that should be fine anyway. How likely is an Aston Villa double game week? Very likely in the future, but not necessarily for game week 23. So if we don't get it before the deadline, then they're not going to double in 23, it looks like. Hello, Dylan. KDB and Lowton for Grain Alonso -4. Yep, that looks good. That looks good. How likely? Yeah, already read that. Why Foden? I mean, I've already got him, so that's pretty much it. There's not much more that needs to be said. Hi, Dylan. Who to buy in for Gundogan? Either Foden or Coutinho. Long term, I still prefer Foden, but Coutinho's a decent one. If not, consider Rafinha, Eddie. Already have King thinking of getting Pedro instead of Dennis. Yeah, Pedro's been looking very good recently. If you ask any Watford fan, he is the main threat at the moment. Scored in his last 2 games, including his last league game, so I think he's a good option, and he's someone worth considering as well. Yeah, Ronaldo's a big doubt. Yeah, I'm aware of that. Ronaldo and Bernardo for KDB and Dennis. Already have King. That's still fine. I still think it's a good transfer. Dennis is my preference to King anyway. Remove CR7 for Dennis and Trust for KDB. Yes, I already said that. Is Greater Coutinho a shout or too reactionary? I mean, it's only 22 minutes of football. It's very hard to judge, and it was an open goal pretty much. But he completely changed the game. I think it's a shout, but I'm not sure if I'd go there yet, especially with no double for Villa right now. KDB in for Son and captain KDB, that's fine, but you can always captain a Watford player if you want. Martinelli or Smith Rowe, long-term Martinelli, I think. But then again, I'm not a big fan of Arsenal assets right now. They've got a lot of blanks to come. Hi Dylan, is Ronaldo out for this weekend? It's not completely confirmed yet, but he is a doubt. Replace for Watkins, yeah, I think Watkins is out of the ones I've put in my poll, for example, by far the best option long term is Watkins, so I think he's a good shout. But then again, Watkins hasn't been that great this season, but he had that little spell under Gerrard where he did very well. Start Gabriel or Alonso? To be honest, I'd be tempted to start Alonso, especially if you have Ramsdale already. He's got a great record against Spurs. He even got 10 points earlier this season. King or Dennis captain? I'd probably go for Dennis, but I don't think there's a right or wrong answer there. But I just prefer Dennis. He's a better player. He's more clinical. King has better stats, but at the same time, doesn't really translate that to FPL points as often as Dennis. Or consider Trent or Cancelo? You could do that. I would consider Cancelo more so than Trent, but they're all good options. Start Soufal or Dyer this week? Probably Soufal. Captain Dennis or King? Dennis once again. Yeah, any of these Dennis or King questions, I mean, you already know me. I've got Dennis in for a reason. I would go for Dennis, so I'm not going to answer that question again. Should I hold Salah? Yeah, if you still have him, then I'd probably keep him at this point. You could always go to De Bruyne or Bruno Fernandes, but at the same time, you're probably going to want Salah back in very soon. So yeah, I'd probably keep him. First bench, Brownhill or Dawson? Probably Brownhill, I guess, but even that, I mean, I'm not really a big fan of either this week, but yeah, I'd probably say Brownhill. Hi Dylan, start Saint-Maximin or Watkins? Good question. I'd probably go for Watkins. Hey mate, what do you think about Soufal to Digne Laporte? I would prefer Laporte, to be honest. I know Digne could have a double, but Laporte plays in the best team in the league. He's nailed and he's getting a lot of bonus points and he's a big threat from set pieces. I'd go for Laporte. Captain KDB or King? I'd probably... Look, just because of the double, I would go for King, but maybe that's a mistake. And you can always go for KDB. I don't think it's a bad option. Thank you, Mickey. Much appreciated. Watkins and KDB in for Mora and Ronaldo for me this game week. Yep, that looks good, mate. That looks solid. Start Antonio or Maddison. Yeah, I probably would go for Maddison. I'm in a bit of a doubt. I have Dennis still thinking to get King in for Tony. Yeah, look, this is the thing, though. It's really good for this week having King or Joao Pedro and Dennis. The problem is longer term. If you look at the fixtures for Watford after this, they're very poor. And I'm not a big fan of King, if I'm being honest. So that's kind of my main issue with bringing him in. But yeah, I think it's still a good shout. And you can profit from him this week and then get rid of him next week. So I think it's not a bad shout. Sarr or De Gea? I think Sarr's the best one. I know Wolves have some tough fixtures, but Wolves are better defensively. The one thing I would say about De Gea, though, is that he does make more saves. He's got, I think, 10 more saves than any other goalkeeper this season, and he can get bonus points. So he is still a really good choice, despite how bad United are defensively. But I'd go for Sarr. Hi, Dylan. Son to Foden or KDB? What would be your pick if you don't have Foden? Probably Foden, because it also enables you to have Salah and potentially Son as well, if you want to have that kind of structure in midfield. But I probably would say Foden. But if it was just a straight shootout, not thinking about price or, other stipulations, then you'd argue that KDB is the better option. Hi, Dylan. Bring in Sterling or Foden? I'd probably say Foden. The one good thing I would say, though, is that Mahrez is given a 1 week break. So that's a good news, for Sterling, Foden and all these wingers, because that means they should be more nailed than they usually are. But still, I'm not too sure about Sterling. Watkins or Ings? I'd go for Watkins probably. Hi Dylan, Son out for Coutinho, Rafinha or roll transfer. Yeah, it's a bit of a difficult one. I probably would still go for Rafinha, and then you have enough money to get Salah back in, which I'm guessing you don't have him because having Son and Salah on the bench is quite expensive. Play Rafinha or Antonio? I mean, that's an easy question, mate. Rafinha all day long. Have 2 free hits. When should I use it? It's a team-dependent question. It's very hard to answer that. You could use it in 27, for example, especially if certain doubles are, form part of that game week. There's also game week 30. There's other blanks and doubles. It's really difficult for me to say right now, especially if I don't know your team. So, yeah, there's obviously a brief idea. It's very difficult to kind of nail it down to a particular game week when I don't know your team. Thank you to everyone who's still here. If you are enjoying this, smash the like button and subscribe if you're new. And all the links are in the description below, so check them out as well. Thank you once again for tuning in. And seeing your poll, over 200 of you have voted. So let's see the results. 50% of you say King, 38% going with Watkins, and only 12% going for Joao Pedro, the differential. But I can understand the King one. With the fixtures, they're so good. I'm just not a huge fan of King, to be honest. But yeah, we'll wait and see. Bringing him in might be a bit similar to Trossard, the transfer I made recently. I sold Salah a long time ago, mate. That's why. There's no right or wrong there. For FPL, does green colour mean they will score? Yeah, Manish, I mean, in terms of you can't predict when someone's going to score. They're just fixture difficulty ratings. So if a fixture's green, that means the fixture's really promising. It's a really good fixture on paper. It doesn't necessarily mean they're going to score. No one can predict the future. Otherwise, the game would be very easy. Best Alonso replacement, Laporte, easy. Gray or Gallagher to Foden? I'd rather keep Gallagher, so I'd get rid of Gray, despite the fact that Everton could have doubles. Movie time, Interstellar versus Goodfellas. Goodfellas. To be fair though, I think I've only seen Interstellar once, and yeah, with Goodfellas I've seen that multiple times. I think it's a better film. They're completely different though, you can't compare them. Will Ronaldo play? I wish I could answer that, mate. I mean, who knows? He's just a doubt. Yeah, he's a doubt. Who to captain between KDB, Cancelo, Trent, Dennis and Jota? I'd probably go for Dennis, but from the single game weekers, I'd be tempted by Cancelo or KDB. Can you rate my team? It's a good team. I mean, your goalkeepers are fine for this week, and Foster will probably be starting there. I think Mings, I mean, he has actually not been doing too bad this season, FPL-wise, but still not a big fan of him. Also, Tierney, not too sure. I'd rather have Cody, for example. As for your midfield, I wouldn't get rid of Saka yet, but maybe ahead of Game Week 24. That's when I get rid of the Arsenal player. The rest of your midfield looks good. It's fine. But in terms of getting Salah back in, I'm guessing Fernandes has to be your cash cow. As for your front line, it's also good, but long term, I probably would rather, keep Dennis and get rid of King. Start De Gea or Foster? I mean, it has to be Foster with the fixtures and the double. Play Cash or Antonio? That's a tough one. I tend to favour the attacker, so I'd go for Antonio. Foden start? I believe so. Also, Mahrez is giving a 1 week break. Hi Dylan, I'm using Wildcard. What's the best front three? I made a best Wildcard team video. If you want, check that out, and you can see the whole team and compare it to what you have right now. I'd probably go for Watkins, Dennis, and then the other one is difficult. It's between Antonio or Calvert-Lewin, but I wouldn't go for a premium striker. If I was you, I'd get Laporte in for Alonso. Yeah, but it would be for a -4 or -8 if I do a striker transfer as well. And also, I'm happy to keep Alonso for this week, then get rid next week. But yes, Laporte will be coming in for Alonso, probably in the next few days or weeks. And then the plan would also be to get Cody in defence, potentially, or an Aston Villa defender. Watkins or who over Ronaldo? Or another Watford striker like Dennis or King. But if you want someone long-term, go for Watkins. Who to bench, Gray, Sissoko or Antonio? I'd probably still bench Sissoko. It might be famous last words, but I'd still bench him. Yeah, I already answered that. Ronaldo for Watkins or DCL? Probably Watkins. I think he's the better one long term, potentially. I already have King, so would you do Ronaldo and Bernardo Silva to Watkins and KDB for a -4? Yes, I probably would. Yeah, I'd do that, Adam. Should I bench Gray or Antonio? That's a tough one. I'd probably bench Gray, but I'm not too sure about that one. Would you captain KDB over Dennis? No, but I would consider it. Start DCL or Antonio? I'd start DCL this week. What do you think about Trippier this week? To be honest, I'm not a big fan of Newcastle defensively. I'd steer clear from him. Nice beard, bro. To be honest, I don't like it. But thank you very much, David. I just prefer not having beards. But yes, it's a lot of effort getting rid of it. Dennis instead of Antonio, already have King. the thing is, you have to look long term. Do you really want double Watford attack long term? If you do, if you don't mind it, then go for it. I think Dennis is better than King as well. But yeah, this week Dennis will certainly, or almost certainly, outscore Antonio if the games do stand. But I'm not too sure if it's actually the right move for your team. Which is better, Aït-Nouri or Marçal? I prefer Aït-Nouri, but I've already raised my concerns about him, The thing with Aït-Nouri is he's playing right now, but that's with Saiss off to the African Cup of Nations and Marçal being an injury out recently. Is that going to continue when everyone's available? I'm not too sure. That's my problem with Aït-Nouri. If he's nailed, I think he's the best Wolves asset in the game, period. But yeah, I think you could always go for Cody or Kilman. Thank you for the super chat, Augustine. Much appreciated. Dennis or Cancelo captain. I don't think Ronaldo will play, but I have him. I'd go for Dennis. I was going to go for Cancelo if they both had a single game week, but because Dennis has the double, I'm just going for him. And I think one mistake I've made this season is kind of being too bogged down into the double game weeks. So maybe if I get King in right now, it might pay off immediately, but at the same time, it might not be for the good of my team long term. But in your case, I'd go for Dennis captain. And yeah, I also agree. I'm not too sure if Ronaldo will play. No one knows at this point. Based on the quotes, they don't seem too bad, but I think he had a 2 or 3 hour scan on his neck, which is quite extensive. Transfer plans. I already made a transfer, Trossard to Rafinha. That was an awful transfer. I knew it when I made it, but I wanted a facilitator, double game week player for Ronaldo. That all went tits up. So I got in Rafinha for Trossard. I'm quite happy with that. And the next transfer would be maybe Ronaldo to one of those players you see in the poll. I'm not too sure about that one though, to be honest. Either way, to get Salah back in, I would have to get rid of Ronaldo. So I'm not really that adverse to getting rid of him. But if he is fit against West Ham, I wouldn't be surprised if he scored just like he did. I nearly said Upton Park at the London or the Olympic Stadium as they call it. Play one out of Gray, Antonio and Gundogan. That's a tough one. I'd probably still go for Antonio. If Gundogan starts, I think he's the best one, but I'm not sure if he does. Is Coutinho a long-term good asset? Potentially. I think the fixtures are there and also double game week, so Coutinho should be a good long-term option. I think in the short term, there are concerns if he's going to start both games in a double game week, for example, in 24. He might be eased into it, but he's a good option, I think. But very difficult to judge him on 22 minutes of football. Watkins, Richarlison or Joao Pedro? Watkins long-term, so I'd go for him. I'm thinking still to Foster, Bernardo to Saka and Rudiger to Marçal, Aït-Nouri for a -4. Thoughts? I like it. Once again with Aït-Nouri, I'm a bit unsure about him in terms of is he actually going to start most games when everyone's available? I think he deserves it. I think he's a good player, but that still doesn't mean he's going to actually start. So not too sure about that one, but obviously Wolves coverage is very good. You can always go for Kilman or Cody as well. The goalkeeper transfer, I'm still... Look, if you have De Gea, Ramsdale or a good keeper anyway like Jose Sarr, I just play them and not really take a hit for a Foster. But if you want, go ahead with it. It's still a good transfer. Bernardo to Saka, it's a good transfer for this week, but not for the next few. If you look at the blanks for Arsenal, that's what I would say about it. Watkins or Ramsey? I'd probably say Watkins, but Ramsey's one to look out for. Mora or Alonso? I'd favour Alonso actually out of those two this week. Laporte or KDB? I'd rather go for Laporte, and that's another reason why I haven't really considered KDB in my team. I prefer double City defence. With good fixtures coming up for certain teams, good idea to jump for it with a wildcard. Potentially, but it's very difficult to say that when there's so many postponements and things up in the air that a wildcard could prove futile. So I wouldn't mind wildcarding maybe next week. I'm actually thinking about it to get Salah back in and also sort out the rest of my team, get the players I want like Laporte and be early and ahead of the curve. But I don't know. There's just so many things that can go wrong. As you can see, even with today, with a random, double being announced really, even though you would expect it, Burnley have like 5 games in hand and also Ronaldo being injured out of the blue. Lamptey or Emerson Royale, first sub. Good question. Probably Lamptey, yeah. Which two out of Alonso, Digne, Soufal and Laporte for a -4 hit? I'd probably go for Laporte and Digne. I think they're the two ones that I'd want to have, not get rid of, just to make that very clear. Bench Fernandes or Antonio DCL or Maddison? Honestly, I'd try to bench none of them, but if you had to, probably Antonio this week. Thank you for the super chat, Amir. Much appreciated. Livramento out for Digne, Cash, and bench Antonio and Gray or Alonso. Yep, I like that Livramento out move. It's good. Once again, Aston Villa aren't great defensively. 5 clean sheets all season. Bench Antonio and Gray or Alonso. I probably would bench either Gray or Antonio there, and I don't know, maybe I'd go for Gray. He actually looked a bit dangerous against Aston Villa when they lost 3-0 early in the season, but that's completely different circumstances. The transfer's good, by the way, with Livramento out for a double game week player, potentially in Aston Villa. That would be maybe game week 24 or later on. That's something to think about, unless we get some news now about, a double in 23. But in my opinion, the best defenders are from City, so getting a Laporte in, doubling up on their defence. Also Cody, but they're still good options, just to make that very clear. Rafinha in for Gray, that's good as well. Just bear in mind, Everton could have a double in game week 24 or slightly after that. I have 4 other good mids. Ronaldo out, safe transfer. That's the thing. That's the $1 million question. Ronaldo could start and do very well against West Ham, but ultimately, if you're looking to get Salah back in, it doesn't really make a difference if you get rid of him now or next week. And if he does miss out, you probably would have wished that, you got rid of him. And at the same time, if you actually end up keeping him, whatever, it's just too many question marks with Ronaldo, basically. I think it's worth, either of them. If you think Ronaldo's going to start, just keep him and don't risk it. But if you just have any feeling that he's going to miss out, just get rid of him, I think. And in my case, I'm not even sure if Ronaldo's going to miss out. So it's very vague, the comments. And Ranić, I've learned not to trust him after last week. Say Maximan instead of Josh, King or Dennis. I wouldn't get Say Maximan in, but I'm guessing you're saying get rid of him. Dennis is my preference out of the 3, just to make that clear. And then it'd actually be King. But yeah, I wouldn't go double Watford attack long term. Gundogan to KDB for a -4. That looks good, mate. I'd do it, Hani. KDB or Bruno in for Son. With Ronaldo potentially out, I'd actually say Bruno. And also, I would rather have Foden and double City defence. I think that would be a bit more economical in your team. Start Emerson or Alonso. Easy. Alonso for me. Rafinha or Coutinho. I'd go for Rafinha. That's why I went for him. Laporte or Diaz. Laporte. Thank you very much. Nat Tuk. Much appreciated. Gallagher, Rafinha, Maddison. They're all good. And I think Maddison from around gimmick 28 is very, very good. I'm looking to get him in. But right now, I'd say Rafinha up until gimmick 32. Smith Rowe or Bernardo. Smith Rowe should start because Arsenal have no one available in midfield. So Odegaard, they could play this 4-1-4-1 formation again with Lokonga as the pivot, Odegaard, Smith Rowe, and then the wingers Saka and Martinelli. So I would probably say Smith Rowe right now, but I would look to sell him very soon. Hi, Dylan. Gray or Moura out for Rafinha and Ronaldo out for Dennis for a -4. What do you think? I'd rather get Moura out, to be honest, and Ronaldo out for Dennis for a -4. That's fine. I think that's fine. Thank you very much for the super chat, Marius. Own Joao Pedro, differential enough? Should I captain? That's a tough question. I would still captain Dennis, but in recent game weeks, Joao Pedro has been the best forward for Watford. That's what I would say. I would look, honestly, it's very simple. It might sound very stupid. I always say this, always captain the player you think is going to score the most points. Don't just think, oh, should I just captain him because he's differential? I wouldn't do that. But if you really believe in him and you think he can be a great captaincy option, go for it. I wouldn't go there just yet, but he's still maybe someone worth considering. For me, it's Dennis. Rafinha captain, yeah, go for it. But there's also Cancelo, there's KDB, there's even Trent, Jota. Who else? There's all these different players. Even Bruno Fernandes could be considered for the captaincy, and obviously the Watford strikers. But yeah, he's a decent one. Welcome, Genius Gamer. Start Gray or Antonio. I'd probably go for Antonio, but it's very tough. If you look at the fixture, you definitely go for Gray, but United are very poor defensively. Get rid of Bernardo, Son or Emerson, and for whom? If I'm being honest, I wouldn't really want any of them long term from this point onwards. Obviously, when Son comes back, he's a great choice, but when is he going to be back? Probably early February. If you kept him for this long, there is an argument of keeping Son, but at the same time, if you don't have Salah, I'd rather have Salah. So I'd probably say get rid of Son, and you have enough money to get Salah back in when necessary. Smith Rowe, Bernardo, answer that question, mate. Is Trossard and Ronaldo out for KDB and King for -4 worth it? I think so. Why CR7 flagged now? Because he has a neck injury. If you check the Man United website, they've talked about it. Ranić actually gave an interview about it. Pope or Alisson this game week? Probably Pope, but both of them I'd get rid of, honestly. Save free transfer Bernardo Silva and Alonso to Dini and Sterling. Probably save free transfer, yeah. King or Foden captain? I'd go for King. Heidel and Rafinha or KDB? It's a tough question. They're completely different, players and price points. It's very difficult to say, but I'd rather have Rafinha and have double City defence and maybe Foden, so I'd go for Rafinha, but it's very difficult to compare them. This week, for example, I think KDB could outscore him, but yeah, you also have to think about the money and the value. Laporte or Diaz? Laporte, mate. No need to spam the chat. Watkins or Joao Pedro this week? For this game week, I'd maybe say Joao Pedro, but long term, I would rather have Watkins. Yeah, 1 second, just going to sort out the spammers. Like I said in the pin comment, if anyone does spam, unfortunately, you will be put on timeout or banned. So just dealing with that. Time to sell Bowen? No chance. I think the form he's in, I think Bowen's a keep. Mara's out for Foden? Yes, I think so. What are your plans to get Ronaldo back for United's double game week? I mean, I'm not getting rid of him yet, and I might actually keep him, but why would I want Ronaldo, really? We just saw him in a double game week and how well he did. I don't think you necessarily need him. If anything, I'd look more towards Bruno Fernandes. So I'm not really that bothered if Ronaldo has a double game week in 25 or not. That is a possibility. You make a good point there. Ranić basically said that they have a Brighton home fixture straight after the game week 24 games or 25 games. So it does suggest that there could be a double there for Manchester United. Laporte for Livramento or Ramsey for Brownhill? Laporte for Livramento. Even though Ramsey could have a double next week. Foden and Joao Pedro or Rafinha and King? I'd go for Rafinha and King. Is it dumb to transfer out Antonio for Joao Pedro? I don't think it's dumb, but I probably wouldn't, to be honest. Thank you, FM. Watkins or Gray? I'd go for Watkins, yeah. Heidel and Trossard to KDB, Bruno, Foden, Rafinha for a -8 because I'm selling James and Ronaldo to Cancelo and King. I'd go for Rafinha, and it also gives you enough money to have Salah back in for someone else. But then again, you can have KDB or Bruno as a placeholder. So all of them, fit perfectly fine. But I just think if you get KDB, for example, it makes it more complicated. My preference is double City defense, just to make that clear. So I probably wouldn't go there. Thank you for the super chat, Jonathan. Dennis in for which one out of DCL or Antonio? That's a really tough one. And I literally said earlier about the best wildcard front three is between DCL and Antonio for that final spot. And I'm not sure about that. If you look at the positioning, Antonio's isn't very that promising. DCL will be the focal point. I think he will do well under Duncan Ferguson. So I'm a bit, I wouldn't say tempted or that excited about him because Everton are pretty poor. But, I think it's actually worth considering going for DCL. I'd actually be tempted to say DCL. But if you look at the stats, if you look at the season so far, Antonio's definitely been the standout. But thank you once again for the super chat. Foden to start 100%. I mean, I can't give these percentages for you. I'm not the manager. I think Foden will start, especially with with Mahrez out of the equation. He's got a 1 week break. Once again, though, it's nothing certain. It could be Grealish on the left, Sterling on the right, Foden on the bench. Who knows? But I think he will start. Hey, Dylan, Ramsdale or Foster? I'd start Foster this week, but long term, Ramsdale's the better one. Vice captain, KDB or Jota? Definitely KDB. But Jota, once again, can do well. Please help Sterling or Harrison. If I'm being honest, I'm not a huge fan of either. I prefer Rafinha and KDB, but they're both decent, especially Harrison in recent weeks, and also Sterling's been very good, especially in December. But out of those two, probably Sterling, but I'm not too sure about that. King, Foden and Rafinha in for a -8. Already have Dennis. Yeah, that looks fine. That looks fine. Just bear in mind that double Watford attack isn't the best long term. Triple captain Dennis, it's an opportunity. And it could do very well. I wouldn't go there, though. And maybe that's a mistake, but I'm not going to go there. Cancelo captain, I was going to go there, but with the double for Watford, I'm just going there instead. But yeah, it's a decent option. I think from the single game, because Cancelo and KDB are arguably the best. Gray to Foden and Antonio to Watkins. Yeah, that looks fine. I'd go for it. Once again, though, with Antonio, he's still a good option. Martinelli or Odegaard? Martinelli, but once again, with Arsenal, they have so many blanks to come, so I'm not sure if I'd bring any of them in. And they also are very much down to the bare bones. Thank you for the super chat, Alex. Much appreciated. Who to start, Alonso, Lamptey or Gray? I would probably go for either Alonso or Gray, and I'd just go for Alonso, as you can see on my team. Ronaldo likely to start? I don't know about likely, but I'd say it's a 50-50, if not 75% chance, but I don't know. I think the chance of him missing out is significant. You have to consider that as well. Salah to KDB or Bruno? Probably Bruno because Ronaldo could be out, and also I prefer the City double up in defence. Silva or Foden? Foden for me. Hayden and I have Dennis and planning on doubling up on King. Should I just save a transfer? I don't think it's a bad idea, but Yeah, I think it's not, saving a transfer and then getting someone like Watkins in next week could be the best move, to be honest. Best defender, I mean, it's Trent and Cancelo easily, but other than them, I would probably say Laporte. He's probably the best one right now. Who to start? Already said that. Double up on Watford attack. For this week, yes. Beyond that, no. That's the problem there. So on a free hit, it would be ideal to have King and Dennis, but right now, not very sure. Thoughts on Firmino? I would avoid all Watford assets other than the forwards, to be honest. KDB or Sterling? I prefer KDB, but Sterling's still decent. Captain Dennis, King, KDB. I'd go for Dennis. Play Digne, White or Region? I would play... That's a tough one. Probably White, if not Digne. Foden's too expensive to have, and he'll probably be rotated, seeing Mahrez is coming back, but he's got a 1 week break, Mahrez, so he's not back just yet, and that was confirmed. But it's up to you. Yeah, if Foden's too expensive for you, you can always go for Jota, you can go for Bowen, Rafinha. There's a lot of options in midfield. You don't have to go for Foden. I've already got Foden, so I'm not looking to sell him. I don't think it makes sense. Yeah, Yarang, I already answered your question. I think it's not the time to sell Bowen. It doesn't make any sense. Play Gray or Ronaldo? I'd still play Ronaldo just in case, but you can always get rid of him as well. Not sure if I'm getting rid of him, to be honest, Sean, but it's a possibility. I think looking at this week, the best move is getting King in or João Pedro. But if you want to look long term, Watkins is the one. So that's kind of my dilemma there. If I do go for a Watford attacker, it probably pushes me more towards a wildcard pretty soon, actually. Play Watkins or Bowen. Maybe Watkins in that case. Bench Alonso or Keane. I'd bench Keane. Cucurella to Laporte or Region to Laporte. That's a good question. That's very good. That is quite tough. Brighton have a blank in 24 and Spurs have some pretty poor fixtures. That's really tough. I'd probably say Region out for Laporte, but I think it's very tough. Bench Alonso or Dallo? I'd honestly bench Dallo. Smith Rowe or Saka? Saka. I prefer Saka. Maximan over Calvert-Lewin? No chance. I prefer Calvert-Lewin. Is King a good captain? Yes, he is. You can put Sterling as a captain this week, but you don't have to. I would rather go for a Watford attacker or De Bruyne or Cancelo, but Sterling's fine. He's got a decent record against Southampton. Should I play Watkins or Rudiger? I'd play Watkins, but Rudiger, he did score against them recently in the Carabao Cup. Start 2 of Region, Cash, Cucurella and DCL. I would start DCL and probably Cash. No, that doesn't even make sense, does it? Probably, it's tough. I wouldn't go for Region, no chance, by the way. It's between Cash and Cucurella and DCL. Even though there might be a bit of a clash, I wouldn't go with Region this week. I'd be very surprised if they kept a clean sheet. Got in Bruno last week, captained him and paid off big time. Yeah, and with Ranić, I think a lot of people, similar to me, were very put off with Ranić's comments where they said that Ronaldo should be available. And Bruno's returns were very poor before the double game week. But there you go. That's the beauty of football sometimes. And someone who's got 1 goal in 11 games, he can suddenly come up with 23 points in 2 games, which is crazy. But that's FPL for you. And fair play. I think it's a good move. It made sense. And also with it's a good placeholder for Salah. But at the same time, yeah, I just think with Bruno Fernandes, it's kind of come out of the blue. But at the same time, that's football for you. What are the double game weeks? It's just one so far, really, or 2 teams double game weeking. So Burnley and Watford have a double game week. Yeah, some of these comments. Yeah, if there are any moderators, obviously I encourage you as well to time out anyone who is spamming the chat. Some questions have already been answered. So give me a second. Watkins or Rudiger? I'd go for Watkins this week. Bruno or KDB? I'd probably say Bruno, but KDB is also very good. This week I prefer KDB, just to make that clear, but longer term, perhaps I'd go for Bruno. Sterling or Bowen? Bowen all day long. When I'm talking about that comparison, I'm talking long term, not just for this week. If it's this week, it's easy. Sterling's the better option, but yeah, Bowen's the better one long term. Start Foster over De Gea? Yeah, I probably would. Digne thoughts? Yellow card magnet, you never know what you're going to get from him. Aston Villa are poor defensively, but nice fixtures and a potential double soon. So he's someone to look at. What's happening with Ronaldo? He's got a neck injury, so he could miss out. And it's confirmed by Man United themselves. Wildcard this week? No, I don't think it's the right time, especially with all the uncertainty and the potential doubles in 24 that, it just wildcarding into that, I'm not too sure if that's the right idea. Yeah, it seems like it, Yourang, but don't worry, I'm on the case. Is it worth selling Lloris for Foster for a -4? I don't think so. I don't think it's worth a -4, even though he has a double game week. Dylan Antonio for King. Yeah, that's fine, but I honestly would rather have Antonio long term than King. So if I had Antonio, I'd probably keep him despite the fixture. Jota or Fernandes? Different price points. I'd rather have Jota though, if I'm being honest, just for value for money. Thiago Silva to Robertson or Trent? I mean, it's easy. It has to be Trent all day long. I don't think it's a comparison there. I know Robertson's been good recently, but all day Trent. I have the same midfield as you other than Bruno and Brownhill for Gray and Foden, so I don't know if I want to change mid. Now that makes sense, and Bruno can be your placeholder for Salah, so I think that's fine. Malpai or Antonio out for King? Probably Malpai, even though I think he is still worthy of holding, like I talked about in my transfer tips video. Who to start, Foster or De Gea? I'd go for Foster. Sterling and Laka or King? Already got Dennis for Ronaldo and Trossard. Laka or King? I'd rather have King over Laka if that's what you're saying. And the other question you said... Sterling and Laka or King? Yeah, I'd go for King. Gray to Rafinha? Yes, I'd go for it, even though they could have a double soon. If you have Foster, would you start him over Ramsdale? I probably would, yep. Start Emerson or Lamptey? I'd start Lamptey. Gray to Rafinha or Rudiger to Laporte? Good question. I'd probably do Rudiger to Laporte, especially with all the doubles very soon. Oh, the doubles, sorry, the blanks for Chelsea. Start Edison or Foster? I'd just go for Foster, but obviously, who's more likely to keep a clean sheet? It is Edison, but 2 games, very good fixtures for Foster. And Southampton can make things difficult for Manchester City. Is it worth taking a -4 and buying King and getting rid of Antonio? For this week, yes. I'm not sure if long-term that's the right move. Mahrez in or out? He's out because he's got a 1-week break after coming back from the African Cup of Nations. Not like Arsenal who rushed Thomas Partey back in and he gets sent off on the same day he lands. Any likelihood of Aston Villa double game week? It's looking very slim. It has to be announced before the deadline, basically. So for Game Week 23, it's very unlikely. It could happen after. Thank you. Name's Jeff. What a name, by the way. Good luck to you as well. I think we all need luck right now. Mikey Slices. What a name. Bench Alonso or Ben White? Cheers. I think if you already have Ramsdale, I would bench Ben White. But if you don't, I think who's more likely to keep a clean sheet is Ben White. But then you look at Alonso's attacking threat, especially against Spurs. He's got a great record against them. That would incline me to go for him overall. So he would be my overall winner. But just bear in mind, White has a bigger chance of a clean sheet. So it's up to you if you want to go safe and go for the clean sheet or maybe target the higher potential ceiling there. Bench 1, Cash, Gray, Dallo, Alonso. Dallo all day long. I think that's quite easy there. Dennis or CR7? This week, Dennis. And to be honest with CR7's injury concerns, I would get rid of him. Do you think Smith Rowe starts? Yes, because Arsenal have no one available. Thomas Partey is suspended. I think Xhaka is suspended as well. So Arsenal have to play a 4-1-4-1, play Lokonga as a pivot. And also in terms of the midfielders, they have to play the same they did as against Liverpool. Suggest a punt for Game Week 23. It has to be João Pedro. I think as a punt, he would be the clear winner. And over 800 of you have voted, so thank you very much. And the poll has ended. I'll read out the results very soon, but I think it was quite an overwhelming victory. Yeah, over half of you went for King, 37% for Watkins, and only 11% for João Pedro. Dennis, any questions about Dennis or King? For me, it's Dennis, but it's up to you. Ben Krellin has said there is little to no chance of Villa double game week. Yeah, he hasn't been active today, really. So he probably said something recently. Yeah, I just don't really see it happening anyway. You know, it's too late. It's too late, and it would have to be announced before the deadline. And it's just they already announced the one earlier, and it even says on the Premier League website that that's the only double game week, at least as things stand. But yeah, I'm gonna check that for you as well. But yeah, things are looking crazy. Even what Ranić said about United, they could have a double in 25. Who knows at this point? So let's see. Yeah, he said something I think an hour ago. The double game week fixtures in game week 25 and 26 are likely to be announced in the break after game week 23, so we should have plenty of time. Ranić hinted at United versus Brighton moving to game week 25, and there's a rumour that Brighton Tottenham is moving to game week 26. So yeah, I mean, players like even Trossard, Cucurella, you know, not too bad. I'm done with Trossard though. I'm happy to keep Cucurella though, and yeah, that's this schedule's absolutely ridiculous, to be honest, compared to previous seasons. Sell Keane to Watford attack. Yeah, I would. What's up, Dylan? Sorry if you've answered, just joined, but Rafinha or Foden in? I'd say Rafinha. Yeah. Good evening to you as well, Flan Dutchman. Bench Bernardo or Bowen? Probably Bowen. I mean, that based on the fixture, but to be honest, you know what? I'm not going to ignore the fixture. I'm saying bench Bernardo. I'd start Bowen. Harrison versus Rafinha. I'd still go for Rafinha, but I think Harrison might get more goals over the next maybe 5 game weeks or so, if we can judge the last 2 games. But yeah, I'd still prefer Rafinha. Diaz in for a -4 for Williams. Keep Ronaldo. Yeah, I think that's good. If not, go for Laporte. I think Laporte might offer you better value than Diaz. Lowton a good option. If you want someone cheap, then yes, he is. But I'm looking at the fixtures. They're not necessarily that good. I was actually considering taking a -4 and doing Livramento to Lowton, but not too sure. Let me show you my transfer plans. So this is the team basically I want to build towards. So Watkins as my striker with Dennis and Calvert-Lewin, if Calvert-Lewin can actually show some promise. Salah back in, and obviously Ronaldo would be the cash cow to facilitate that. I'd keep Bowen, Foden and Jota, and Rafinha's also been brought in this week, so that's already done. As for my defence, yeah, Livramento's another one who could make way, but some good fixtures for Southampton. If he does recover soon, I wouldn't mind keeping him from Game Week 27 onwards, so he's not really a concern. Cody and Laporte, though, in defence, that would be very good if possible, and it also eliminates the need of a wild card. So if Salah's back in Game Week 24, I might take a -8 basically, because I need the money, I think. If not, potentially I'm trying to think if there's another way. I mean, another problem with this kind of transfer plans is in order to get Laporte, I have to get rid of Cucurella, and I'm not too sure if that's the right call, especially if they have some doubles coming soon once again, or you know, basically just some very good fixtures long term. I think Cucurella's decent. I'm happy to have gotten rid of Trossard, but let me know what you think. King is the better option better option in today's or this week's games, but longer term, I think Watkins is the one to go for up front. I think it's quite clear there. Bench Bowen or Gray? I'd bench Gray. I mean, as you can see with my team, I've benched Gray, so I wouldn't really tell you otherwise. It's up to you though. Lucas Moura or Rudiger bench? Oh, I would bench Lucas Moura. Bench Antonio or Malpai? I would bench... If you're looking at the fixture, I think both of them are capable of scoring, but I'd probably bench Malpai. I'm going with Pedro instead of King. Fair enough. I think most Watford fans would tell you he is the better option. Diaz Laporte, mate. Just joined the stream. Do you think Ronaldo injury is real? Or I think there is a concern, but I'm not necessarily sure if it's enough to keep him out. Region or Lamptey? The thing with Lamptey is he's always got an injury concern and his minutes are managed, so I guess I go for Region, but yeah, I'm not really a big fan of either. Bruno to Sterling, Foden for a hit, a good move. I would not get rid of Bruno, no, especially if Ronaldo's out. Tierney or Laporte long term, that's easy. Laporte all day long. Broja or Bernardo Silva? I'd go for Bernardo Silva this week. Start Tierney, Digne or Cody? Says Scartil. I would start... That's a tough one. Probably Tierney, yeah. Laporte in for Alonso for a -4 or hold Alonso? I'd probably hold Alonso, sell him next week, because you need a clean sheet from Laporte and possibly bonus points or an attack and return for that to pay off. And if Alonso keeps a clean sheet anyway or gets an assist, you don't really make anything out of it. If anything, you lose points. Watkins, Antonio, Cristiano for Dennis to make place. Ronaldo probably because of the injury concern and also to fund money for Salah back in soon. Bernardo Silva to Rafinha. Yep, I'll do that. Play Saul Foster. Foster because of the double. Will KDB start? I believe so. Aiden put his team 1 free transfer. What should I do? I mean, Tony's one of the first players I see that I think you should get rid of, to be honest. So I'd probably get rid of Tony. And looking at your team, I'd get rid of him for Dennis or King. And I'd probably go for Dennis. I think that's an easy transfer. Alonso to Aït-Nouri or Maddison to Rafinha. Both for hits with the purpose of funds. I mean, I like all those players you mentioned. Aït-Nouri, I've got some concerns if he's nailed long term. I'd probably do Maddison to Rafinha, but Maddison looks very good in maybe 5 or 6 game weeks time. Coutinho, Foden or Rafinha? I'd probably say Rafinha, but they're all good, especially Foden. KDB a good choice this game week? Yes. Yeah, I think so, definitely. In terms of single game week, because he's probably the best captaincy option. Dennis as captain or Cancelo to be safe? I'm going for Dennis, but Cancelo's good also. KDB or Foden? I think KDB's better this week, but Foden, just in terms of team structure and looking at a wildcard team or just a squad structure that you'd be happy with long term, I would go for Foden. Thank you for the super chat, Jesse. Gray plus Tielemans plus DCL to Rafinha plus Sterling plus Kings, say Maximum Wood. Got Dennis already and plan to switch Bruno to Salah. Also, what do you think of keeping Bruno? The thing is, though, if it's a case of keeping Bruno for those potential doubles and good fixtures or having Salah, I'd still have Salah all day long. So that's the kind of answer there. If you wildcard or find a team structure that enables you to have both Salah and Bruno, then that's obviously the ideal scenario, but that means downgrading elsewhere, sacrificing squad depth. Gray and Tielemans to DCL and, yep. Plus DCL to Rafinha, Sterling, King. Yeah, I think that's fine. I'm not sure about Sterling. I mean, he's still a really good option, but I maybe would prefer Bruno or KDB. But I think the rest is fine, and I would go for King because of the double. Then you can always look to get rid of him after. Dennis is my preference, though, and obviously you've already got Dennis already. So thank you very much for the super chat. Do I keep Son? I'd probably get rid of him, and you can always downgrade him and then upgrade elsewhere. Who should be my first bench player? Gallagher, Lamptey or Region? My first bench player, I would probably say Gallagher. Gallagher or Lamptey. Captain Dennis or King? Dennis. Once again, it's Dennis all day long. Who to captain? Cancelo, Foden or King? I'd probably say Cancelo or King. Is Gray an option really? Not necessarily. Not right now. But he has the potential to do okay. He was one of the better budget options early in the season. Start Antonio or Rafinha? Rafinha all day long. Come on, that's an easy question. Martinez or Sanchez? I probably would go for Martinez, but there's not much in it. Odegaard, Gray to Rafinha or Steer to Foster? Has to be Odegaard to Rafinha. Has to be. Region, Soufal to Laporte or Gray to Rafinha? Coutinho, no idea at the moment. Because of the potential doubles for Everton, and I'm not a big fan of Gray, by the way, but maybe just go for Laporte. I think he's just a safe and secure long-term option. Feels weird not taking a -4 hit this week. Yeah, and that was the plan for me as well, but I might just end up taking a -4 late on for King or Joao Pedro or Watkins in for Ronaldo. But if I were to take a hit, I think the one to do it for is King, to be honest. Smith Rowe, good option. For this week, yes, not long-term. Once everyone's available for Arsenal, they're not going to really play this 4-1-4-1. They'll play Partey and Xhaka as the pivot. They'll play probably Odegaard, Martinelli, Saka and Lacazette. But you never know. I think he will occasionally get minutes, but I think after this week, he's a gone. Welcome FPL Aiden. What would you do? Ronaldo, Dennis and Son to De Bruyne for a -4 or Antonio, Dennis and Rudiger to Digne, Cash? That's a good question. I probably would go for De Bruyne. Yeah, De Bruyne and Dennis option. Yeah, Ronaldo to Dennis. Yeah, I'd do that one. So Ronaldo to Dennis and Son to De Bruyne. And you can have him as a placeholder for Salah. Ramsdale or Edison? This week, it's quite tough, but I probably would go for Ramsdale. Bruno to Rafinha. I'm not sure I would get rid of Bruno, to be honest. I'd probably keep him at the moment. Is Saka playing? Yes, he is. Play Gray or Lucas Moura? I'd play Gray. Take a hit to get Gray out for Rafinha or just play DCL? I mean, yeah, you could just play DCL, to be honest, but Rafinha could do very well against Newcastle. Roll transfer or get KDB for Gray, Trossard. I'd get KDB in for Trossard. Start Trossard or Cash. Maybe Trossard because of the Leicester fixture, but he's very inconsistent, Trossard. KDB over Sterling for you, Toboggan. Foster or Ramsdale, I'd probably go for Foster, but there's not much in it. Yeah, my transfer plan, I already made my transfer. Rafinha in for Trossard. Don't know why I ever got him in, to be honest. And I might take an additional -4, or take a -4. Ronaldo to King. That's what I'm looking at potentially. And in the coming weeks, you know, Laporte can come in for Alonso. For Livramento or Cucurella, Cody can come in. And also Salah would come in for Damari Gray. It would be maybe a bit weird because by the time I want to get Salah back in, Gray could have a double game week in 24-25. and that makes it a bit more complicated, but I would always rather have Salah, to be honest. Rafinha or Maddison? Rafinha right now up until game week 32. Is Bruno playing? Yeah, I mean, I don't know why he wouldn't, to be honest. Region or Alonso to Laporte? Alonso. If we're looking at this week, I would rather have Alonso than Region, so maybe don't make that move right now. Do it next week in game week 24 and do Alonso to Laporte. I think that's quite simple. Rafinha for Smith Rowe? Yes. You could just wait for next week, though, because Smith Rowe should start against Burnley, but I still would rather have Rafinha. What is the undisputed truth about Ronaldo neck injury? No idea, to be honest. No idea. But it looks like he had a 2 to 3 hour scan, so they were basically trying to check it, see if there's any problems. They're still not sure yet, but he could be out. Alonso to Laporte or Diaz? Laporte. Foden plus Rafinha or KDB and Gray? Yeah, Foden and Rafinha. I just think it's a better duo. Bowen or Watkins? I'd just go for Bowen in general. Would you do Bruno to KDB? No, I wouldn't do that, even though this week I expect KDB to outscore him. Foster or Sarr? Well, yeah, I'm just getting rid of these spammers. I don't even know what that means, by the way. Yeah. So, let me get back to your question. Yeah, Foster or Sarr. This week, Foster, and overall is Sarr, no doubt about it. Start Keane or Antonio? Antonio. Bench Bowen or Maddison? That's a tough one. That's 50-50. I'm not sure about that one. Bowen's been in great form. Maddison as well, to be fair, but Bowen's just really good at the moment. I would probably bench Maddison, but really tough. Man City and Arsenal got decent fixtures, so Foden or Odegaard? Foden. And also Arsenal have blanks. You have to look at that as well. Let me just figure out these. Yeah, bye-bye, spammers. Gundogan to Rafinha -4? Yes, definitely go for it. Is it worth using a free transfer for transferring out Ronaldo? Yes, I think so. Will Diaz start? I believe so, yeah. Once again, don't hold me to that. Dennis or King? Dennis, as I said all day long, I'm not going to answer that question again. Confused about the transfers? Yes. I was quite settled on it, but right now, I'm probably just going to keep things as they are. Bench Martinelli or Alonso? I would bench Alonso, but at the same time, he has a great record against Spurs. Coutinho, Jota or Rafinha for Mount? Thank you, Galactic Hobbit. I'll just answer the question anyway, but obviously, in general, spamming is not tolerated. Coutinho, Jota or Rafinha for Mount? Yeah, Rafinha. Rafinha or Jota? Would you get King this week for Antonio if I already have Dennis? I'd probably just keep Antonio, to be honest, but it's not a bad idea. I think King will outscore Antonio this week, but long term, he is the better option than King. Jacob Ramsey or Region in? I mean, it depends who you get rid of, Nabil, so that's a tough question to answer. Jacob Ramsey is a good bench fodder option. Bench 1, DCL, Trossard, Bowen. I'd probably bench Trossard, but he can do well against Leicester. Son to KDB or Bruno? I'd go for Bruno, but KDB is also good. Will Smith Rowe play? Yes. Dak or Antonio? I still prefer Antonio, especially with the fixtures Leicester have soon. Yeah, I'd go for Antonio. Bring Firmino in? No chance, and it also makes it more difficult to get Salah back in. For me, it's a no. Ben White or Emerson? Ben White, easily this week. Daka or OM for Smith for Odegaard? Not sure. Anyway, Brownhill or Watkins? Watkins, yeah. I really don't care about the double for Brownhill there, to be honest. Maddison to Rafinha or Silva to Rafinha? Silva to Rafinha. I'd rather have Maddison longer term. De Bruyne and Coutinho for Son and Bowen -4. Yeah, that's good. I would rather have Rafinha over Coutinho either, yeah. What's your transfer plans, mate? Already disclosed them. I already made a transfer Rafinha in for Trossard, and other than that, maybe Ronaldo will make way for King, but yeah, other than that, the rest is long-term, and I'm going to have to wait for those. Coutinho thoughts? Check out my last few videos. I talked about it. I think he will do well for Aston Villa. He'll be the talisman, but I prefer Rafinha. Like, if it's a straight shootout between Coutinho and Rafinha, it's Rafinha all day long. But Coutinho has great fixtures, potential doubles in 24, and he could do well. What's the game plan for Dennis and King for Game Week 24? Exactly, that's what puts me off, and it would be to sell King probably. So if I do bring King in, it would probably be sold instantly. Wildcard team, I've made a video, mate, so there's no point of me talking about it here. Ronaldo to who? Dennis or King, and if not, Watkins if you want someone long term. Greenwood or Saka? I mean, Greenwood could have a double very soon in 25. Saka is the better option this week, but yeah, the blanks afterwards. Then Arsenal have some very good fixtures. Long term, basically, I prefer Saka, but there are some blanks along the way. King and Nuri in for Brojan Sufa for -4, low budget. Yeah, that's fine. Just bear in mind with Nuri, he might not be that nailed when everyone's back. Ronaldo to Watkins and Brownhill to KDB for Salah placeholder until Game Week 26. That's fine, mate. That's fine. I think that's pretty good. But would you bench Ramsey or Bernardo this week? I'd probably bench Ramsey. KDB or Bruno? I would... Yeah, I'd go for Bruno Fernandes, but KDB's better this week. Saka in or Odegaard out? Oh, Daka in or Odegaard out? Odegaard out, I would say. Even though he can do well against Burnley. Should I get Laporte to Alonso for a -8? Just hold off and get Laporte in next week for free. That's what I'd probably do, or for a hit, depending on what other transfers you're doing. Bench 1, Gray, Cash, Region. Captain KDB or Dennis? For me, Dennis, but KDB's also fine. Mount to Rafinha? Yes, I'd go for it, if not next week. But I'd do it this week, to be honest. Is De Bruyne worth the price tag this week? Yes, he is, I think. Who should be benched, Antonio or Gallagher? I'd probably bench Gallagher. Bench Martinelli or Alonso? I answered that question already, mate. I'd bench Alonso, but they're both good. Hi, Dylan. Bench in order. Rudiger, Martinelli, Gray, Antonio, Son. Bench and order free. In terms of priority, it would be Martinelli first. I mean, Son, look, he's going to miss out anyway, so he's last, basically. So Martinelli first. Second would be Rudiger or Gray. Potentially. I mean, nah, I'd go for Antonio over Gray. And that's why I've got him... Well, I would have Antonio probably over Gray. Yeah, so Martinelli first, Rudiger second, Antonio third, Gray fourth. Something like that. KDB to outscore the Watford strikers, potentially. Start Gray or Antonio? I would start Antonio, but it's not much in it. KDB or Bruno or Ronaldo? For this week, KDB. Overall, probably Bruno Fernandes. At least for the next few weeks. Bench Bowen or Watkins? I would bench probably Watkins. Bench Mora or Bernardo Silva? I'd bench Mora. King in for a -4? Yep, but just bear in mind that the fixtures after that are very poor for Watford. Who to captain, KDB or Jota? KDB. Ronaldo or Antonio? Long-term Antonio. Obviously for this week, if Ronaldo was fit, I would prefer him, but yeah, long-term I would go for Antonio. To bench Diaz or Gabriel? I'd rather start Diaz, to be honest. Bernardo to Sterling and Maddison to Rafinha for a hit, or just Bernardo to Foden? Bernardo to Foden for me. Rafinha in for Bernardo? Yes, I'd go for it. Bruno or Foden? Probably long-term Foden. The reason why I say that is because if you have Bruno, it makes it more difficult to get Salah, unless you use Bruno as the cash cow to get Salah back in. Opinion about Ronaldo's performances? I mean, it's difficult to judge. He's been getting a lot of injuries recently, but yeah, I mean, United in general have been pretty shocking, but United do struggle a lot when Ronaldo's in the team sometimes. That is, quite clear to see, but yeah, he's still very capable, of great things. So I think he will improve, he will do well, but I'm not too sure if he's going to start this week. You think Chelsea's defence is good enough to stop Tottenham? I mean, they've done it in the Carabao Cup. I don't really see a reason why they can't do it again, to be honest. So I think yes, and also if Alonso, he's got a great record. And at the same time, yeah, I mean, I could take a hit for Laporte or for Lowton, but I'm not really sure if it's worth it. I triple captain King. Fair enough. Good luck. Hopefully it pays off for you. Cancelo for -4 or start Rudiger Mings. Get Cancelo. Just get him no matter what. Just get him in. Ronaldo or Ramsey? Ronaldo, but once again, he is a doubt this week. Captain Cancelo or Bernardo Silva? Cancelo all day long. Will Ronaldo start, do you think? I mean, one piece of advice I would say is don't hold me or my assumptions about if Ronaldo's going to start or not. Don't use that as your final deciding factor. I don't think that's a good idea. I personally think Ronaldo could be fine for the game, but it ultimately depends on the scans that happen later on. If there are issues, if there's any risk involved, he's not going to be risked. That's as simple as that. Thank you, Dion. Much appreciated. Thoughts on Arsenal-Liverpool game? Arsenal are a young team. They can't beat any big teams at the moment, so I'm not surprised. I said it after the first leg. I thought Arsenal would bottle it. So, yeah, I'm not too surprised about that. And if Liverpool had Salah or Mane, it could have been much worse. Hi Dylan, thinking of captain Jota this week or Cancelo? I'd go for Cancelo. Bench Antonio Rudiger. I would bench probably. That's tough. I maybe would bench Rudiger, but yeah, they're both decent. Arsenal defense against Burnley. Yep, that's fine, but some blanks along the way. Just bear that in mind. Already have Dennis. Should I replace Antonio for King? You could, but I probably would just keep Antonio. Bench Bruno or Bowen this game week? I wouldn't bench either. I wouldn't bench either, to be honest. Should I take out Alonso for Diaz or Laporte? Laporte. And I would probably do it next week. If if it's a free transfer, then go for it. Just bear in mind Alonso can do well this week. Should I swap Foden for De Bruyne? Yeah, if you want. But at the same time, that might be your placeholder for Salah. So, yeah, you might get KDB in and then get rid of him next week. But, yeah. Going to listen to my gut and do Brozier to King and Jota to KDB. Triple on City and do Wildcard in 24. Yeah, fair enough. I mean, that's the thing. If I do bring in King, for example, it's a bit similar to you. I probably would look to, wildcard very soon, to be honest. Thank you very much, Weiseng. Do you think ASR will start versus Burnley? ESR, yes, he should start. Captain Rafinha or Sterling? Maybe Sterling, but they're both good. João Pedro or King? If you're looking at recent performances, it has to be João Pedro, but King, I don't know. He did very well against Norwich last time out. Thank you for the super chat, by the way, to Wardy. Much appreciated. Thoughts on Foden? I don't think he's a must-have, but I don't know. I just still think he's one of the best options around his price. Armband to Foster? No chance, mate. I mean, look at Watford's defence. There's no chance I would captain a goalkeeper from Watford or any defensive coverage. No chance. Best Lucas Moura replacement? Rafinha, I'd say. Rafinha, maybe Coutinho. Those sorts of options. I'll go for Rafinha, though. Bowen over Gray? Yes, I would do that. Bench one, Gray or Antonio? I'd bench Gray. Bring in Rafinha and bench Ronaldo, or bring in Watkins for Ronaldo, or maybe bring in both. Bring in Rafinha and, I mean, I wouldn't bench Ronaldo, to be honest. Ronaldo spotted in training. Yeah, I haven't seen anything on Twitter, to be honest. And yeah, there's always some updates. So literally anything that might seem logical or applicable 1 second doesn't seem like it the next second. So yeah, I haven't seen anything. If you see it or whatever, if you have like a link, then paste it in the live chat. I'll check it out. But yeah, I haven't seen anything on Twitter right now. I'm going to still surf a little bit more, see if I can find anything. But yeah, I'm probably going to keep Ronaldo in the end, to be honest. That's what I'll probably do. Start Pickford or De Gea? I would start David De Gea. I'm going to captain KDB. Yeah, fair enough. I can see. I don't blame you. I think Dennis is a good player, and the problem I have is he plays for Watford, but he's still done very well this season, so I can understand your logic. Foden over Rafinha? I prefer Rafinha. Alonso or Tierney? This week, I'd probably just say Tierney, but Alonso's someone to look out for from Game Week 28 onwards. Play Antonio or Mount? I think both could do well, but I'd probably play Antonio, but both are fine. Bench Ramsey or Gray? That's a tough one. Maybe Gray. Gray plus Alonso to Robertson plus Rafinha for a -4. Thoughts? I think that's good. I wouldn't go for Robertson, though, because my ideal Liverpool triple up is Jota, Trent and Salah. I just think if you already have those two and you bring in Robertson, it makes it more difficult to get Salah back in. How about risking Coutinho instead of Bowen? Bowen's a better asset, so no, not for me. Reguilon to Digne? Yeah, that's an option. Why do you choose Rafinha over Coutinho, who has great upcoming fixtures? Because I just prefer Rafinha as an asset, to be honest. Coutinho is still one to look out for. I just pick Rafinha. Bench Reguilon or Watkins? I would bench Reguilon. Bruno versus King for captaincy. Thoughts? I'd go for King, probably. If Bruno had an easier fixture, then I would go for him, but would you sell Mahrez for Foden for a -4? I need to play Doucouré if not. It's funny, isn't it? Because when Mahrez is fully available, I mean, he probably would start and do very well from time to time. Mahrez is a very good differential when he does get the opportunities. But yeah, I'd probably do it, I guess, yeah. If not, you can go to Rafinha or someone else who's cheaper and then have enough money to get Salah back in and make your other moves. Foden over Rafinha? No. Yeah, once again, no. Rafinha for me. Captain KDB or King? I would captain... That's a tough one. I maybe would go for KDB. I think I said that before as well. Gray to De Bruyne for a -4. Already have Foden. Oh, yeah, if you can afford that, I probably would do that, even if Gray can have a double game week soon. Mount or KDB? KDB all day long. KDB or Foden? For this week, KDB. Long term, I prefer Foden because of the team structure. Play Region or Varane? I would play Varane. To be honest, I'm not really a big fan of either. ¿Cómo estás, Dylan? ¿Qué opinas de un -4 por tener a Dennis y King para la doble jornada del Watford? Sí, creo que está bien. El problema es Game Week 24 o 24, porque hay, no sé... las jornadas no son muy buenas para Watford y también no es un equipo confiable. Así que es muy bueno para Game Week 23 o 23, pero no sé si es algo muy bueno para el futuro. Pero sí, es algo para considerar. Y para mí, creo que voy a... Sí, creo que no voy a vender a Ronaldo, pero veremos. Bench Region or Gray? I would bench Region. Which one should I start between Rudiger, Lamptey or Antonio? I would bench... Oh, I'd start... either Rudiger or Antonio, to be honest. It's quite tough between them, and maybe I would go for... I mean, maybe Rudiger. I mean, it's 50-50. I might have even said Antonio earlier. It's quite tough. Captain King or Cancelo? I would captain Cancelo, potentially. I just prefer Dennis over King. That's why I'm going for Dennis over Cancelo myself. Good midfielder from Watford? No, there's none. It was Sarr, but he's not available. I wouldn't go for any. Dylan, what do you think of Bruno to Rafinha? I wouldn't do it. Bernardo to Foden, Rafinha or roll? I'll do Bernardo to Rafinha. Dennis for King. If you have King, just keep him, I'd say. Thank you, Heels. Sell Rudiger to Digne. Maybe just hold off for another week. I don't expect Digne to do that well already. I mean, famous last words. Hi Dylan, do you speak Spanish or Latin Spanish? It's the same thing really. Just Latin Spanish has a few different, few differences. It's not really. It's like American English and English, basically. Should I bring in Foden for free? I think it's, he's a good choice. But yeah, if you don't have Rafinha already or someone else, I'd maybe consider them. Upgrade Bernardo to KDB for a hit. Yeah, I'd probably do it. KDB or Dennis for captain. I'd still go for Dennis, I think. Sell Ronaldo, get Saint-Maximin or Antonio. Saint-Maximin, no chance. Antonio, yeah, he's still a good option long term, but I don't know. There's a few things that put me off Antonio. As for Saint-Maximin, nah, not for me. The Argentine side of Dylan, those thinking he knows Spanish, yeah. It's not something I just learn or study in my spare time or something. Bench Saka or Watkins? Probably Watkins. I wouldn't want to bench either. Game Foden or Rafinha, sell Ronaldo or Antonio. Both are risky, to be honest. Ronaldo, if he starts, I think he can do well. I probably would sell Ronaldo in general, though. Walker, I prefer Laporte. Remember to subscribe and hit that like button. Thank you very much, Lager. Hopefully I said it right, like I always say. If you haven't already, like he says, smash the like button and subscribe for new. It'd be much appreciated. And let me just give me a second. Here we go. Thank you very much. And yeah, you can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram. All the links are in the description below. And let me actually show you now. I haven't had the chance to do so yet. So this is the comparison between Dennis and King. I think Dennis is the better asset, but if you look statistically, some similarities to be fair, especially in recent weeks. The XA has swung in Dennis's favour. Big chances though, 4 compared to King's 13, but King is quite wasteful. Big chances created, Dennis also exceeding King, and Dennis has played a lot on the wing as well, to be fair, although Watford do have this kind of interchangeable forward system. 30 shots in the box each. In terms of shots overall, 36-37, very similar, although King has 1 fewer appearance. 19 on target compared to King's 14. So statistically, there's not a huge difference. Big chances though, that's the kind of huge, distinguishable factor. But yeah, 8 goals, 6 assists compared to King's 5 goals and 4 assists. Quite a bit of a difference there, almost double. But yeah, both are decent options. I am considering King just for a 1-week punt, but I wouldn't really want to have King beyond game week 24 or 23. I'm losing count of the game weeks now. Let me know what you think of this situation, but Dennis is my preference. Sell Varane for Semedo. Yeah, or if not, Cody, Kilman, 8-Nur if you want. Rumours Dennis has COVID. Oh god, yeah. Don't get me started on this. Oh my god. Let me check that. But yeah, if anyone has any links, by the way, then let me know. But yeah, either way, I'm not really believing anything that's being said until I actually see a reliable source say it. But yeah, I haven't seen anything yet. Yeah, and to be fair, there are some trolls as well. But yeah. Whom to bring in, Dennis or King? Dennis. Dennis is my preference, as I just said now. Mora or Trossard? Trossard this week. Bernardo to KDB or Rafinha for a hit, or neither? I think both are good. I'd probably go for Rafinha. I don't know. Bench Bowen or play him versus United? I'd play him, mate. I wouldn't bench him. Hi, mate. Already brought in Laporte and Rafinha. What to do with Ronaldo? I mean, honestly, it literally is something that's completely down to luck, this decision, because, you know, whether you keep him or sell him, the outcome isn't really skill-based. So if you think he's going to start, or if you are confident of him playing, then just keep him, I think, and you can always sell him next week. But otherwise, if you have any doubts, just sell him and then maybe get a Watkins long-term or maybe a Watford striker. I have Bowen and Antonio start. Gray over Antonio. I probably wouldn't, but, you know, some people may disagree. Sell Rudiger for Laporte. Yes, you could do it next week, though. Maddison to Rafinha. Yep, that's a good idea. Bruno to KDB or Gray to Foden? Gray to Foden. Should I avoid bringing in Chelsea players? Yeah, definitely. Look at the blanks coming up soon. You want to look at getting them in Gimmick 28, not now. Bench Alonso or Smith Rowe? Alonso. Sell Gray, bring in Saka? Probably not, because Everton could have a double in 24, for example, and Arsenal blank, so not too sure about that. Even though I prefer Saka, just to make that clear. Whom to sell? Antonio, DCL, Ronaldo to Dennis. If you're looking long-term, probably Ronaldo. But for this week, if Ronaldo does start, I'd rather have him than Antonio. But basically, I'd sell Ronaldo. Keep Ronaldo or bring in Kane? I wouldn't bring in Kane ahead of Chelsea. And also, yeah, I probably wouldn't do that, to be honest. I'd keep Ronaldo, maybe sell him next week. Sarr or Ramsdale this week? That's a good question. I have to think about that one, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, probably Ramsdale. Probably want Ramsdale. But I think both of them could keep clean sheets and do pretty well, to be honest. Remember to keep smashing the like button. Dylan May, I already make transfer, or should I wait one more hour? Well, if you wait one more hour, technically, it would be past the deadline. But yeah, I'd say try and make your transfers within the next 40 minutes or so. Laporte versus Aït-Nouri? I prefer Laporte, to be honest, but Aït-Nouri is cheaper. It's quite difficult to compare them. Yes, Christian, I'd probably go for Dennis. Should I play Antonio Coutinho? I would play... Oh my god, that's tough. Maybe Coutinho. Thank you, George. Ronaldo's training. Yeah, I haven't seen anything about that as well, even though I saw a few comments here. Alright, let me check this. But yeah, in terms of Ronaldo training or whatever, I haven't seen anything. Either way, I think the plan will be to keep him. Yeah, Dennis is trending right now. I wonder if it's because of FPL or because he's got COVID or whatever, which is a complete joke, to be honest. That would be. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I just saw someone mention the rumour at the game tonight and not heard anything about Dennis having COVID. Ignore the rumours for now. I don't know where these rumours even come from, to be honest. Some people, I don't know, some people do actually make this stuff up, so that's why I'm a bit distrustful of most people, but yeah. Alright. Captain Jota, not for me, but he's a good option. Martinelli or Odegaard, Martinelli. Who should I... What? I didn't get that question. Hi Dylan, is Tierney a good option? Thanks. Yes, for this game week and also long term, but he's got some blanks soon, so he's not someone I'd get in right now. Captain and Cancelo, your thoughts? That's fine. If you don't trust the Watford players, I can understand that. And Cancelo or KDB would be my top single game week picks, probably. Maddison to Greenwood? Probably not, to be honest. I like Maddison long term, even though he has some poor fixtures soon. Yeah, I'm not sure about double-digit haul predictions, to be honest, especially in this FPL environment. Whom to sell? Trossard, Smith Rowe, Gray to Foden or KDB? Trossard probably, but from next week onwards, I'd sell Smith Rowe once. You know, the Arsenal midfielders are available. Bench Smith Rowe or Bowen? Out of those two, probably Bowen, but I wouldn't bench him. Bench one, Trent, Cody, Laporte, Tierney, Aït-Nouri. Probably one of the the Wolves defenders. So either Cody or Aït-Nouri, and probably Cody because Aït-Nouri has a bit more attacking threat. Whom to captain? Dennis or King? Answered that already, mate. I prefer Dennis. Bernardo to KDB or Rafinha for a hit? I answered that as well. I went for Rafinha. Luckily, I didn't transfer Ronaldo in. Yep, that's the thing with one bad decision can spiral into many more. That's the problem with it. And in terms of Ronaldo, I literally only really brought him in because of Ranić's comments about him being available, and I thought he would be the best option in Game Week 22. Obviously, that didn't turn out to be the case. But now, obviously, I regret going for him. I think everyone's overlooking Jacob Ramsey. Yeah, he's been doing very well. And even before Gerrard came in, he had some very good performances. And he's shown his potential plenty of times. Get rid of Region or Soufal. Soufal. Ronaldo and Trossard to Dennis and Bruno KDB. Yes, I think that's fine. Is it true that CR7's injured? He's got a neck injury. It's not completely confirmed in terms of him being out, but there's a chance that he won't play. Should I sell Son or hold on? I'd probably sell him, to be honest. Sterling, good pick. Yes, he is a good pick, but I probably prefer KDB. Bench Diaz or Gray? I would bench Gray. I have Cancelo, no DCL. Yeah, I'd still probably bench Gray. Jota or Bowen? This week, Jota, overall Bowen. 1 second. Salah and Gray out for KDB or someone else, and Coutinho have Bowen, Jota, Rafinha. Yeah, I think that's fine. Yeah, I think that's fine. But the thing is, if you're getting rid of Salah now, you're probably going to get him back in next week or in 2 weeks' time. Just bear that in mind. Bench Martinelli after last night. He had a very good performance. I think he was the only good Arsenal player, really, other than Odegaard. I wouldn't bench him when he's facing Burnley. Sell Watkins or Antonio for Dennis. So Watkins or Antonio for Dennis. Long term, I mean, that's tough. I'd probably say Antonio out of those two. Can't afford both CR7 and KDB. Ronaldo to Dennis and Son to KDB, or keep Ronaldo and go Son to Foden. I'd probably get rid of Ronaldo. Do Ronaldo to Dennis and Son to KDB. But at the same time, there's always a risk. Ronaldo could start and do very well. Who to play? Watkins or Maximan King? I mean, come on. King's got a double game week. He's not in the conversation. You should start him. Out of the other two, I'd start Watkins. KDB for Son or Rafinha for Gray? I'd probably go for KDB for Son. Would you captain Dennis or King? Dennis. Mount to Coutinho or rolled transfer? Rolled transfer. And you can always, from next week onwards, that's when you get rid of the Chelsea assets for sure. Thoughts on Wildcard this week? Too much uncertainty. I probably wouldn't go there. Start Trossard or Antonio? I'd probably start Antonio. Sterling, KDB or Foden? Foden. Just because of budget purposes and team structure. Otherwise, it's KDB for me. Bench Smith-Rowe or Trossard or Gray? I'd bench Trossard. Pedro and Foden or King and Rafinha? King and Rafinha for me, but the other doesn't seem too bad. Dennis or KDB captain? Dennis for me. Sell Watkins or Antonio for Dennis? Already answered that, mate. No need to spam the chat. BS versus Foden. BS? Anyway. Triple Liverpool or City defence? Neither. But if I were to pick one, it's City. They have a better defence. Sarr or Foster? This week, Foster. Long term, it's definitely Sarr. Thank you very much, Boris. Who to play goalkeeper? Sanchez or Martinez? I'd probably go for Martinez. Here's the guy who tweeted about Dennis. FPL Gareth Barry. Okay, thank you very much for that. I'm going to check that out, but I probably don't trust that at all. Yeah, I'm not even sure what his in the know is, to be honest. That would actually be... Yeah, I'm not sure. A lot of people are saying it's the same guy who, under a different account, basically lied about another team news. So who knows, to be honest. It's basically basing off a WhatsApp message, but he doesn't even say from who, does he? Yeah, he doesn't even say from who. So, yeah, to be honest, right now, not really interested. And Dennis will be captain as planned. If not, Cancelo. Not really a big deal. So, yeah, that's how things are at the moment. Hi, mate. Play one from Gray, Maguire, or Douglas Luiz. Probably Gray. Gray to Rafinha, yes. King for Antonio or Rafinha for Gray. Probably Rafinha for Gray. Who would you bench, Bowen or Emerson Royal? Easy, Emerson Royal. Not seeing any mention of Robertson. I mean, some people have mentioned him in the chat, but I just don't see the need of Robertson when you've already got Jota and Trent, and then how do you get Salah back in? You have to get rid of Jota, but I would rather go for a double up in attack. Probably fake news about Dennis. Yep, I agree. Yeah, FPL Gareth Barry. Yeah, exactly. I don't really get it, and he doesn't even say what his source is. Is it worth a hit to bring Foster in for a double, have Ramsdale on Laurie's bench? No, I don't think so. Rafinha for Bowen? No, I wouldn't get rid of Bowen. No chance. Would you do Gray to Rafinha, Son to KDB -4? Yes, I would. 2.5 million in the bank, -4 for Real to Laporte and Silva to Rafinha. Yes, it's worth it. Dennis to Joao Pedro to fund Salah later. I wouldn't do that. Surely fake, I agree. I don't think it's... He made his account this month. Yeah. And either way, you know, if it ends up being true, then fair enough, but I just doubt it. Forson Robertson, look, he's been very good recently, but I think Trent's enough from Liverpool. And if anything, City's the only team I'd really want to double up on. Wolves, perhaps, because of how much value they offer. I'm not sure if it's worth having Trent and Robertson for 7+ million, and I definitely wouldn't have Robertson over Salah, over Trent Alexander-Arnold, and it also makes it harder to get Salah back in. I'm taking out Alonso. Should I bring in Diaz or Laporte? Laporte, Mount to Rafinha for -4. Yes, I would go for it. Should I sell Antonio or Ronaldo for Dennis? If you're looking long term, it has to be Ronaldo sold. Would you bench boost Rudiger, De Gea, Lamptey, Antonio? I wouldn't, but it's not bad. Would you use a wild card? No, there's too much uncertainty. Best defender to transfer in. Already have Trent and Cancelo. Laporte or a Wolves defender? Bench Antonio or Watkins? I would bench Antonio this week. Which formation are you playing? I'm currently playing, I'll double check this for you, but I think a 3-4-3. Yeah, 3-4-3. Silva to Foden, worth a hit? Yes, I think it is. You sold Ronaldo? No, I haven't sold him yet. Watkins, Bowen, Antonio, whom to drop? None of them really. If you had to drop one, maybe Antonio. Yeah, I'd drop Antonio. Start Laka, Antonio, Bowen. I'd start Bowen, yeah. And then it'd be probably, maybe Laka for the fixture, but I'm not a big fan of him. Worthy, Mount to Rafinha for -4, yes. Gone for Coutinho over Rafinha, mistake. I don't necessarily think it's a mistake, but I prefer Rafinha. Which City player, if I have KDB already? Laporte and Cancelo. And if you're looking at a midfielder, I'd go for Foden. I definitely wouldn't go for Sterling and KDB. I think that's too much. Should I take a Watford defender this game week? No chance, not for me. Up to you, obviously, it's FPL, play it the way you want, but for me, I'm avoiding all Watford defenders. Hey Dylan, should I double up on City's defence with Diaz and Cancelo or sell Diaz and double up on midfield? I'd go for double City defence. I prefer Laporte over Diaz, but has to be Cancelo and Laporte or Diaz. For me, bench Reguilon or Gallagher? I'd bench Reguilon. Keep KDB and fund Salah with Ronaldo transfer, but have an inactive replacement striker. Yeah, I mean, there's pros and cons to all these moves, aren't there? I'd keep KDB. Yeah, I'd do that, and yeah, use the Ronaldo transfer to fund it. Dennis is my preference. Should I sell Bernardo for Sterling? Yeah, if not KDB, potentially. Which two would you bench out? Maddison, Bowen, and Antonio? That's a good question. I'd probably start Bowen out of those three. Start Bowen or Maddison? I would start Bowen. Start free from Laka, Tomiyasu, Cucurella, Bowen, Antonio, Coutinho. I would start Tomiyasu, Bowen, and probably Laka just for the fixture. Otherwise, it would probably be either Coutinho or Antonio. I definitely would start basically Tomiyasu and Bowen. Should I double up on King and Dennis? It's a good idea for this week, not necessarily for beyond that. Start Sissoko, Reguilon, or Soufal. I would probably start Sissoko for the double. Do you think Watford will keep a clean sheet versus City? Or City Arsenal defenders better for this game week? Any game week, they're better, to be honest. I'd probably go for a City Arsenal defender. Even if Watford keep one clean sheet, they could do it. I don't trust them long term, so I just go for an Arsenal or City defender, especially City. KDB as a captain, what do you think? He's the best single game week captain in my opinion, along with Joao Cancelo, so I'd do that. Gray or Trossard? I'd go for Gray, potentially. Dylan, should I give Foster the nod ahead of Ramsdale this week? I probably would do that, yeah. King for Ronaldo or Rafinha for Mount? Rafinha for Mount is the better long-term move, I think. Mount out for Coutinho or Foden. Should I take a -4 and get KDB, says Matrix. Mount out for Coutinho or Foden. Maybe Foden, but I don't think there's much in it. Or should I take a -4 and get KDB? You could do that, but I'd just, make a free transfer. Laporte plus Bruno, good transfers this game week. Son and Livramento out. Yep, that's fine. Who should I start, Gray or Odegaard? I'd start probably Gray, but Odegaard has the better fixture. Start Sanchez or Martinez? Martinez, I think you asked that already. I'm playing 5-3-2. I've done that plenty of times this season, to be honest. Deadly put his team out. Review my team. Ramsdale's fine. Your second goalkeeper, Sanchez, yeah, you're fine there. Lucas is one I'd look to sell. Potentially even Livramento. Real's one to consider getting rid of. Sterling can be your cash cow for Salah. What you could also do is downgrade Ronaldo to, for example, a Watford striker like Dennis or King, and then use that money to get Salah back in next week, and then also have Bruno Fernandes or Son when when Son's available, for example. That's what I'd look to do. The rest of your team looks fine, to be honest, but those are the sorts of players I'd look to get rid of. Ronaldo, Son, Rowe to Dennis, Coutinho, KDB, or Foden for a -4. I think that's all fine. I probably would go for Foden instead of KDB, just because budget and also structure. Dino, Laporte, start Tomiyasu or Bowen. I would probably I'd still go for Bowen, but Tomiyasu's more likely to, get 6 points, basically. Start Maddison or Bowen. Should I start Wood or Telles? I would go for probably Chris Wood. King or Dennis? Dennis. Bring in Foden's a thumbs up? Yeah, I think so. But there's also maybe other midfielders you can go for this week. Captain, King or Cancelo? Very tough. I've gone for Dennis. I prefer Dennis over King. But I'm not sure if I had King and I didn't have Dennis, would I do that? I'm not sure. But it's a double game week player. If you trust King to do well, then go for him. I might be tempted to say Cancelo though. Maddison or Trossard? Maddison. Bench order Region, Ramsey and Janssen. Probably, Ramsey first. Dennis probably Janssen second, Region third. But that's interchangeable. I definitely would put Jacob Ramsey first. Rafinha for Trossard. Yep. I think that's fine. I'd go for it. That's the same move I made this week. Sell Region or sell. I think you could sell him, yeah. Maguire to Laporte or Gray to Rafinha this week? That's a good question. I probably would do Maguire to Laporte. Made my moves Cucurella to Laporte and Gray to Foden for a -4. Yep, that looks fine. Hasn't Dennis got COVID? It's just a rumour online. I'm not sure if it's true. If it is, then it is what it is. But yeah, I'm not really that bothered. Moving for Bruno, if you plan to sell him for Salah, worth it. The thing is, if you get him in, then he's only there for 1 or 2 weeks. I'm not that sure if it's worth it, to be honest. But Bruno is still a good option for the next 5 or so game weeks. He's got some good fixtures and he's playing well for once. Free options, play Antonio, transfer Gray to Rafinha and play and roll a transfer. I think I'd probably just do Gray to Rafinha. I don't mind playing Antonio, but I'd do that. What is the best replacement for CR7 since I have Dennis and Antonio with him? I think Watkins long-term is the best one. Start Cody or Antonio. I would probably go for Cody. Ronaldo to Dennis, already have King. I probably would do it, but just bear in mind there's rumours about him having COVID apparently. Who knows? Ronaldo in training. Yes, I've seen a few people say that. I just haven't seen the images myself. Thank you, Cheyenne. Captaincy is on Dennis, vice on King or Cancelo. I go for Cancelo. I like to captain or vice captain, players from different teams. Would you still captain Dennis? He's still my captain. I'm not going to change it. Who takes penalties for Watford? That's a good question. I think it's Josh King, yeah. And that's another reason why a lot of people went for King instead of Dennis in the first place, but I just prefer Dennis, so I went for him. Maupay or Foden in the bench? I would bench Maupay. Start who? Rudiger, Cash or Trossard? I would bench Trossard, potentially. King or Dennis? Dennis is my preference. Region for Laporte or Diaz or Cody? Laporte is my preference there. Triple captaincy on Dennis? I wouldn't go there, but it's an opportunity. Thank you, Deadly. DCL and Steele for Foster and King for a -4. I wouldn't take a -4 involving a goalkeeper, so no. But you can just do, DCL to King, potentially. Just bear in mind, Everton could actually turn a corner now. Should we sell Antonio? If it's for King or Dennis, potentially. But at the same time, you could just keep him. Start Cucurella or Gray, please. I would go for Gray. Hearing news on Twitter? Yep. Once again, there's a lot of news and noise on Twitter. I don't really necessarily believe most of it. Thoughts on -4 Alonso and Gray for Laporte and Rafinha? I think that's great, mate. Just bear in mind, you could keep Alonso for this week. He's got a great record against Spurs. And you could make the moves next week. Start who? Rudiger, Cash or Trossard? I think I answered that already, mate. But I would go for probably Rudiger. Bring in Coutinho for -4 or hold Son? I mean, the thing is, Son should be back for next week. If not, is it game week 25? So at that point, you probably want to keep him. But at the same time, if you don't have Salah, you would probably want to get rid of Son anyway for him. So it's a difficult one. But I don't think I would. I wouldn't take a hit for Coutinho. I wouldn't do that if you have a good 11. Rafinha or Coutinho? Rafinha, hold Diaz. Yes, I'd hold him. Start Trossard or Antonio? I'd go for Antonio. What's your plan this game week? I've already made a transfer, Rafinha in for Trossard. And if I do even make another transfer, it would be Ronaldo out for King or João Pedro or Watkins. And then in terms of other moves, I talked about it earlier. I'll show you on screen just so you have a visual demonstration. I'm looking to get Salah back in the coming weeks. Ronaldo would be the cash cow. Watkins could be the replacement there. Rafinha's already in the team, so it doesn't matter. Then it would also be potentially Laporte in. But the problem is I'd be 0.2 million off, so it might require a downgrade from Cucurella to maybe Cody, which I don't mind too much, but Brian could have a double game week. So yeah, there's a few issues with my squad, to be honest, and even with my transfer plans. But yeah, the plan definitely, the main priority is to get Salah back in when he's available. So that's what I'm looking to do potentially. Captain Bruno or King? I'd go for King. Rafinha or Foden? I would go for Rafinha. Will Salah play in the second double game week? I'm not even sure about his situation, to be honest, but he should be back fairly soon. I think mainly around February, so we're looking at game week 24-25, I think. Jota to Rafinha next game week. I wouldn't get rid of Jota, to be honest. Hi Dylan, who to start? Region or Gray? Gray. Start 2 out of 3. Gray, Antonio, Smith-Rowe. I'd start Smith-Rowe and Gray or Antonio. I mean, I'd definitely start Smith-Rowe, basically. The other two, I've gone for Antonio all day. I guess I'll go for him, but I'm not that sure. Sol Bernardo, already have Rafinha, Jota, Foden and Bowen. Yep, I'd probably sell him. I mean, you've got decent midfield anyway. You could just keep Bernardo this week, but look to sell in the coming weeks, especially for double game week players. The issue is that Salah plays Burnley when he comes back. He always blanks versus them. Yeah, true. But I mean, sometimes I try not to look into that too much. It can be misleading. Best captaincy option, I think either a Watford striker, De Bruyne, Cancelo. Probably just those lot, actually. Play 2, Diaz, Tomiyasu, Bowen. Probably Diaz and Bowen, I guess. I wouldn't bench Bowen. And bench boosting, is it better to take a -4 to go from Antonio to King? I already have Dennis or Alonso out. The problem is, I mean, you're getting a double game week player, so it kind of justifies the hit. So I guess I'd go from Antonio to King if you're bench boosting. Otherwise, the long-term move is to do Alonso out, but because you're bench boosting, yeah. Leeds have upcoming double game week, potentially, but we just don't know when that's going to be. Shouldn't clash with the South American qualifiers anyway, so that should be fine. But in terms of game week 23, it's underwhelming. It's just Watford and Burnley. Play double West Ham attack and roll. Yeah, that's fine. Great to Coutinho. I probably would just keep Gray for now, see how Everton do. But maybe next week if Coutinho has a double game week. Italiani? I'm not Italian, if that's what you're asking. Start Saka, Gray or Trossard? I would start Saka. Dylan, what do you think of transferring in Foden and benching Antonio for him? I think that's fine. Yeah, I'd go for it. Thoughts on Salah to KDB and Gray to Bruno, mate? That's good. The thing that does put me off is that you want Salah back in next week probably if he is available. It depends on the African Cup of Nations, but yeah, I think it's fine basically. Kobe. Tony to Dennis, Pedro or Dawson to Laporte? Tony to Dennis. Just bear in mind there's rumours about him having COVID. Who knows what's what anymore? Should I start Alonso or Dallo? I would start Alonso. When's the Adama move? You're talking about Adama Traore. I'm not sure when that's going to be, but it should happen this month. If you're talking about the actual transfer for Spurs, bring in Laporte for Region and play him instead of Cash. Yes, I'd do that. Keep Ronaldo and roll. That's what I'm looking to do, Ibrahim. But Ronaldo's been a flop transfer. Thank you, Tom. Much appreciated. If City lose clean sheet, it would be super sad. To be honest, I wouldn't mind. To be honest, I want to see more excitement. City, even when they do struggle, I mean, and they rarely struggle, to be honest. I mean, I don't know. They always find a way to win. So yeah, it would be good to see Southampton win that. Would KDB be starting? I believe so. Why is Ronaldo a doubt? He's got a neck injury. It's reported by United themselves. Ranić gave an interview. Is doubling up on King and Dennis? I mean, it's a good move for example, Game Week 23. Not beyond that. Egypt got Cote d'Ivoire, right? Yep, they've got Ivory Coast or Costa de Marfil, whatever you want to call them. That's a tough game. They could be out. Yep. But Egypt are, historically the best team in the competition, so you've also got to keep that into account. I know, obviously, that doesn't mean much right now, but sometimes history does play a part in things. Are the Dennis COVID rumours reliable? No, I don't think so. I don't know who posted it, but apparently it's the same guy who's been posting a lot of fake information recently. You get a lot of clout from, reporting stuff like this. if some things, turn up true, even coincidentally, people start to believe they're reliable or not. I don't believe that's the case. CR7 to Dennis, Trussell to KDB -4. That looks good, mate. Genius, I'd go for it. Laporte and King or Dennis and Digne. I'd go for Laporte and King. First sub, Gray or Cucurella or White. I'd go for White. Who starts? Antonio Watkins. KDB or King as captain. I'd go for KDB, I think. If it was Dennis, though, I'd still go for Dennis. Is Diaz a bad asset to have? I don't think he's a bad asset. And no, he hasn't been replaced by Laporte. I think he was just recovering from COVID. Laporte and Diaz is the main central defensive partnership. I think Laporte is the best option for City other than Cancelo. Would you start Backman if you had him? I don't think he's going to play, to be honest. And yeah, it'd be very, very arguably a bit unlucky if he played only one game and he happened to not keep a clean sheet in that. But basically, I would start De Gea in that case. Would you bring in Laporte or Diaz for Rudiger? Laporte. Smith or Martinelli? I would go for Martinelli. Who to bench? Dallo, Reguilon, Antonio. I would bench Dallo. Actually, no, sorry. Reguilon. Dylan, I'm benching Ronaldo. Fair enough. CR7 to King. Since CR7 might be out, already have Dennis. Yep. Just bear in mind, if you're looking long term, it's not really something you want to have, a double up in Watford attack. Wasn't Ronaldo spotted in training today? Supposedly, that's what a lot of people are saying, but I haven't seen anything, and I haven't seen anything on Twitter, but I'm guessing it's true. Yeah, I just saw it actually. Paul Pogba, Anthony Martial, and Ronaldo in training. But yeah, Ranić, I don't trust him. I've learned that right now. Yeah, based on Ranić's comments in Game Week 22, I made a decision. Obviously, it's still my fault, but I shouldn't have listened to Ranić, basically. And yeah, I'm kind of taking over a pinch of salt. Hold Bruno or take a punt for KDB. I just hold Bruno, mate. I wouldn't get rid of him. Thank you very much, Ramsey, for honestly such a sick stream. First time being here and definitely not my last. Keep up the good work, man. Thank you very much. It's much appreciated. Start Antonio or Sissoko. I still start Antonio. Is Foster going to start? I believe so. You seem tired and bored. Still enjoying FPL? I don't know about bored, but in terms of FPL, like, it is what it is, There's a lot of luck involved, but I wouldn't say I'm tired or bored of it. Yeah, my voice is gone from yesterday. I went to the Arsenal game, unfortunately. That's probably why. So I'm trying to keep my voice intact, and it's quite difficult. Foster, Ramsdale versus Ben White. Foster, I guess. Yeah, just for this week. Best captain: Dennis, King, De Bruyne, Cancelo. Who to start? Edison, Foster. I just go for Foster. Should I bench boost Ramsdale, Mount, Rudiger, Reguilon? I wouldn't bench boost that, in my opinion. Obviously, if you want to go for it, then it's not a bad idea. Ramsdale could do very well. Even Mount and Rudiger. I just don't expect Reguilon to do that well. Your opinion on a Dennis triple captaincy? It's a good opportunity, but I'm just not going to go there. I think there will be better opportunities. For example, Salah could have a double with Leeds and Norwich. If that's the case, the triple captaincy on him would be, at least on paper, very, very promising. Salah will keep Ronaldo. Apparently he's been spotted in training. I would sell him ultimately, but you could keep him this week, sell him next week, basically. Bernardo to Foden or Saka? Foden. Saka's got some blanks soon. Start Creswell, Nuri. I would start 8 Nuri. Is Foster going to start? Yes. No need to spam the chat, mate. Actually, yeah. Bye-bye. See ya. See ya, chump. Now Ranić will bench Bruno and start Ronaldo, who scores a hat-trick. I wouldn't mind that. That would be a bit of balance, but guess what, mate? It's not going to happen. Bruno's going to start. He's been in great form. And I don't see Ronaldo scoring a hat-trick, but who knows? Stranger things have happened. Who to start? Foster, Edison? Foster. Yep. You watch Arsenal game in the stadium? Unfortunately. Start one, Gallagher, Antonio, Cucurella. I would start probably Antonio. Start Laporte over Ronaldo due to the knock. I mean, I wouldn't bench Laporte anyway, but I wouldn't bench Ronaldo. Wildcarded, Dennis the captain, King or Kane for this week. I mean, Kane against Chelsea captain? No. I'd go for Dennis, yeah. Blay, Alonso or Sissoko? Alonso. De Bruyne for Bruno or Laporte for Reguilon? I wouldn't get rid of Bruno. I don't know why a lot of people are saying get rid of Bruno for De Bruyne. Laporte for Reguilon, easy. Bench, Kane or Maddison? Kane, I guess. I mean, would you really bench him though? Should we really captain Dennis? Rumours is he has COVID, but who are the rumours from? That's the problem. If you trust the rumours, then bench him or whatever, or get rid of him, but I just don't really see it. If you were to free hit, who are must-haves? Cancelo, De Bruyne, Dennis, probably King, so I'd go for all of those. If you want a differential, then go for João Pedro, but I wouldn't go for a triple up in Watford attack. That's ridiculous, arguably. But yeah, those are some of the options I'd say, and probably in goal. You're looking at Ramsdale or Ederson. Maybe go for a Wolves defender as well. But yeah, I don't think many people will be free hitting this week. It's not really a great time. Lowton as your 5th defender as well. De Gea or Robert Sanchez in goal. Probably De Gea. Should I make my transfers now? Yep, I'd go for it. Start Trossard or Dalot. Trossard. Start Smith Rowe, Antonio. Smith Rowe. Saka or Jota for captaincy. Jota probably. Who do I start? Rudiger versus Spurs, Tomiyasu versus Burnley. I would probably go for Tomiyasu, but Rudiger has done well against Spurs. I mean, even recently he scored. Start Region or Lamptey? I would start Lamptey. Rate my team out of 10. I mean, if you want to be a rating, probably an 8. I think that's a good team. Yeah, at least for this week, yeah, I'd say it's an 8. Should I transfer out Ronaldo? Who knows? Who knows? He was in training today apparently, but he's got a neck injury. Who knows? We got mixed messages. Either way, I think ultimately you want to sell Ronaldo in the coming weeks. That's basically it. Sell Watkins or Antonio for Dennis King. Antonio probably, but there's not much in it. Who would you start? Cash or Rudiger? I'd start Rudiger. King or Dennis captain? Dennis, good evening. Who to start? Antonio and Martinelli this week. Martinelli. What transfers are you thinking of making? I already made one. I got Rafinha in. Hi Dylan, start Alonso or Region? I would start Alonso. Thanks Dylan. Looks great in the beard though. I honestly prefer no beard, but thank you very much. Captain De Bruyne or Dennis? Dennis for me, but De Bruyne would run him close. Good luck to you as well, Aiden. We're going to need it. There's a lot of luck involved nowadays. Not Watford assets. Who to captain? De Bruyne, Cancelo, Trent. De Bruyne, I'd probably go for, but they're all good. Lennon a differential? Maybe. You know, why not? You know, just go for the players you think are going to do well. I just don't see it, but you could be onto something. Start Trossard or Dalot? I'd go for Trossard. Double up on City defence or bring in KDB? Honestly, double up in City defence. That's what I would do. Only one free transfer. Would you do Bernardo to Rafinha, bearing in mind I still have Alonso and Rudiger to shift? I don't think you need to make that transfer, but I think you do profit from it, and you can always get rid of the Chelsea assets in the weeks to come, even for a hit. When's the next deadline? I need to check that, to be honest. But yeah, either way, on the FPL website, they always tell you. Right now, it's Tuesday, the 8th of February. If, for example, I mean, I don't know, there was so many stipulations laid out earlier, but there could have actually been a case of, you know, the Game Week 24 deadline. So, for example, if Aston Villa had a double announced straight after the Game Week 23 deadline and it falls under Game Week 24, that means that the Game Week 24 deadline would have been pushed further back and basically, or further back or further forward, whatever. Basically, it would have been even earlier, and basically by the time Game Week 22 finishes, you know, I don't know what I'm saying right now. My mind is literally fried. What I'm basically saying is, by the time Game Week 20, you know what, forget it. I can't be asked to say it. My mind is literally fried right now. And we've been streaming for, what, 2 hours or something like that? So yeah, forget what I just said. It doesn't even matter anyway, because guess what? Aston Villa don't have a double game week. Who cares? Thank you for the super chat, Rania. With one free transfer, would you do CR7 to Dennis or Antonio to Dennis? I already have King. Or would you get Pedro for one of them? With one free transfer, would you do CR7 to Dennis or Antonio to Dennis? Yeah, I would probably just do CR7 to Dennis. It might backfire this week, but yeah, long term, it's just a better option, and Dennis is a good one. Is Wood to King worth it? Yes, it is worth it. I just don't like Chris Wood as an asset. KDB, Foden, or Rafinha for Son? I would say Rafinha. They're all good though. Which players to replace Arsenal midfielder and defence with? In defence, Laporte, maybe a Wolves defender, a Villa defender, and in midfield, you're looking at Rafinha probably. Play Gallagher over Region or no? Dylan and X sub working, yeah. I literally just... Yeah, it was quite a simple thing actually, but I just made it complicated. Start Dalot, Lucas Moura or Rudiger? Rudiger, yeah. Get KDB for Silva -4, but then next week get out for Salah. Yeah, I think it's still fine, but yeah, that's kind of... I'm not a big fan of those sort of moves, to be honest. Should I start Gray or Bowen? Bowen all day long. Selling Region and Silva for Laporte and Coutinho worth it? Yes, it is worth it. Yes, even though I do prefer Rafinha over Coutinho, like I said already. Who to start? Sanchez, De Gea. Thank you, mate. I would go for David De Gea. Bruno to KDB. Honestly, roll. I don't really see it. Wolves fixtures are poor. They are, but they've got a good defence and they also offer great value. So I still think they're worth it. Diaz, Cancelo, both, or Cancelo, Cucurella? Mamma mia. Diaz, Cancelo both or Cancelo? I mean, my preference is Cancelo and Laporte. I'm not sure who you have already. I'm guessing you have Cancelo already. Best Watford captain, Dennis. I already said that. Is it good to wildcard this week? I don't think so. Because there's so much uncertainty. There could be doubles announced in 24, 25, 27. And you also don't have a good idea about the rest of the season. So, mate, you're not looking at the potential Man U double game week in 25. Honestly, I don't even care if they have a double game week. But, yeah, I'd rather have Salah than Ronaldo, even if he has a double. Foster or De Gea? This week, Foster. Overall is De Gea. Yes, Young, I literally answered your question already. I mean, for me, Dennis is the best Watford captain. If I had both, it'd be Dennis. I don't really think that makes much sense. And the amount of time and questions you answer in a single stream is commendable. Don't know how you manage it. Thank you. But yeah, either way, my brain was fried. That's not an excuse. Do you think Foden is a risk of being benched? There is a chance, but I think he will play. News about Double Gameweek 25, is there? Yeah, right. I mean, at this point, who knows? Why even make transfers anymore? Let me try see if there's anything on Twitter. But yeah, obviously I saw something earlier about Ranić kind of giving something away. Oh wow! Look, I'm just seeing Duncan Ferguson quotes on my timeline. That guy's a nutter. Yeah, and in terms of Dennis COVID, who knows? Yeah, Ronaldo was in the Friday training video. So yeah, honestly, Ranić, he can stuff himself. To be honest, I don't even want to speak about him. Do you think Laporte will start? Yes, I do. Jimenez over Gray? Yes, if I had him. I am late. Is Ronaldo... Basically, Ronaldo there's a chance of him missing out, but he was spotted in training. He's got a neck problem, but I think he'll be fine, based on what we've seen. Bernardo and Son to KDB and Rafinha? Yep, that's fine. Foden or Coutinho? Foden, captain Dennis or KDB? Dennis, Ronaldo up for Antonio or Watford asset? Which Watford asset? I'd probably just do Ronaldo out because long term that's the move I'd do, and I would go for Dennis. Rafinha or Foden? Rafinha. Some of these questions I already answered, so I'm not going to repeat them. Trossard or Gray benched? I would bench probably Trossard. I'd go for Foster over Ramsdale because of the double, I guess. There's not really much in it. I've got Sterling, Maddison, Jota, Gray and Bowen. Can't think of who to take out for Rafinha. Probably Gray or... The thing is, Maddison's got poor fixtures over the next 5, so you can get rid of him, then bring him back in later on in the season. So you could just do that, actually. Cody or Gray, who to bench? I would bench Gray, but there's not much in it, and up to you. I wouldn't really... Just go with your gut feeling, and whatever happens, happens, So even if I got it right in your case, I don't want to be held accountable whether I got it right or wrong. Should I start Gray or Bowen? I'd go for Bowen. I just prefer him. Livramento to Laporte or Diaz? Laporte. Laporte or Luca Digne for the next 3 or 4 game weeks? Laporte. Laporte just in general. Even if Luca Digne might have better fixtures and also a double game week, I just prefer Laporte. Foden or Coutinho? I prefer Foden, to be honest, yeah. But Coutinho, when he has a double, or if he has a double very soon, that could obviously sway you in another way. Who is your captain? It's Dennis. How about Kane? He's someone to consider once again, but I wouldn't do Ronaldo to Kane because what if you want to get Salah in next week, then you have to get rid of Kane as well. Depends on your team structure, but in most cases I'd probably avoid. But he is a good player, obviously, a good asset once again. KDB to Trossard and Ronnie to Watkins. I have Bruno already. That looks fine. Wait, what? KDB to Trossard. I will not be bringing in Trossard this week, and he also blanks in 24. Yeah, thank you very much, Singh. Much appreciated. But either way, what I was going to say is, it was so simple. Let me actually go back to the Game Week 22 thing. So basically, there could have been a case of before Game Week 22 even finishes, Game Week 23, the deadline would have actually began, which is very weird, and it's never really happened before, I believe. So that's basically all that I needed to say, but for some reason I overcomplicated it. But yeah, we've kind of gone through a lot of questions. A lot of them have been the same ones, so yeah, we've kind of covered everything we needed to. I think I'm just going to stick with this. Ronaldo was pictured in training. Dennis might have COVID. Who knows at this point? A lot of FPL right now seems to be luck. Obviously, luck is always in the game. Luck is always a part of many things, but yeah, a lot of things are outside our control right now. And I think I'm just going to stick with this. And Rafinha in for Trossard is my only transfer. In the coming weeks, I want to get Laporte, maybe a Villa defender, Maybe, yeah, Salah, obviously, he's the main one I want to bring back in. If I need to wildcard to bring this guy back in, so be it. I'm open to the idea, to be honest, but I'm still not a huge fan of wildcarding in this current environment. But in a week or two's time, especially after the winter break, COVID cases should calm down, and it shouldn't be too bad. But you never know. Things have been very strange this season. Yeah, that's fine. Captaining Cancelo and vice captaining Dennis. I think that's fine, mate. Yeah, I think that's fine. But I'm going to go for Dennis just for the double, and the fixtures, the quality of the fixtures are very good. Thank you very much, CH. I wasn't even being hard on myself. I was just saying, it was very simple. I overcomplicated it, and people watching will be like, well, what's this guy on about? But either way, it doesn't matter because Villa aren't having a double, so it's all hypothetical. Green Arrows mate had a lot recently. Yeah, same here, to be honest. And the one last week was very bad. It was a huge swing based on a few decisions. Would you sell Salah or too late? I don't necessarily think it's too late, but if I still had him, I'd probably keep at this point, and I wish I had last week. If not, just done Salah to Bruno. Hey, do you think Arsenal versus Burnley will be called off? Not anymore, because Burnley, even Sean Dyche was saying, they've got like 16 players available. It's looking more promising. And Arsenal, yeah, it should be fine, but you never know. Captain KDB or Dennis? I'm going for Dennis, and that's the last answer with those captaincy questions. Hey, what's up, my dude? Getting closer to 10k. That's really good, mate. 6 start. Start Tierney or bench one of Bowen, Gray, Antonio. I'd start Tierney and I'd bench Gray, if not Antonio, because you already have Bowen there. Region or Alonso start? I would start Antonio. Salah dropping in price tonight. Yep, that's quite good news, actually. Makes it easier to get him back in. Best vice-captain. I mean, Dennis, Cancelo, KDB, King. Any of those would be a good vice-captain. I'm sure you don't have all of them, so any of those would be fine. Start Lamptey or Region. Lamptey. Foster, Ramsdale. This week, Foster, but yeah, Ramsdale does play in a better defence, obviously. Made the Rafinha move. Decision became easy. I'm set on Rudiger to Laporte next week. Yeah, I think that's fine, and that's the right thing to do, Carl. Ramsdale or De Gea. This week, Ramsdale. Start Foster or Sarr. I'd go for Foster this week. Bruno to Salah. Not this week. Salah's not going to play this week. Do it next week, yeah. If that's your only way, then definitely. There's no other choice. What to do with Brozier and Son? Have 2 free transfers and already own Dennis and Sterling. Maybe do Brozier to King. If not, do Son down to Rafinha or something else. I think Son to Rafinha would be a good move. Grass FC or Analytics FC? A balance. I think the balance is the main thing. I prefer, Grass, if anything, if that's what you're asking me. That's why I went with Dennis over King in the first place, but I don't know. It's finding the balance. That's the most important thing. Once again, thank you very much to everyone who's been tuning in. If you haven't already, smash the like button and subscribe if you're new around here. Let's try to get to 200 likes. We're not too far off, if I'm not mistaken. I'll double check that, but yeah, I don't think we're too far off. And yeah, we'll get back to your questions. We've been answering it for like 2 hours straight. And yeah. It's a shame Leeds don't have a double, but he's my midfielder. Bowen, Jota, Foden, Rafinha and Son. Yep, that's a good midfield. And Salah's the only missing ingredient once he comes back. Bruno might be one to look out for as well. Taking out Ronaldo? No. I haven't made any transfers since, well, just during the stream, really. Rafinha was made before the stream even started. Grass FC. I mean, once again, some analytics are very important as well. But sometimes they are a bit overrated by some people. That's what I'll say. Wait to buy Salah until next week. Yeah, exactly. There's no point bringing him in now. He's blanking. Who shall I buy in for Salah? We already got Bowen, Mount, Bernardo. Bernardo was the one I would get rid of for Salah, if that's what you're asking. Keep Lacazette or sell him for Watkins. Maybe keep him this week, sell him next week, especially if Villa have a double. Should I take a hit and sell Ronaldo to Watkins and upgrade Foden to KDB? I'd probably just keep, to be honest. Ronaldo was in training. It is risky. You can go for it, but I probably would keep. And you can always make 2 free transfers next week or take a hit and get Salah back in. Who to take instead of Antonio? As a striker? Dennis, King, there's DCL, Watkins. I think Watkins would be the main one long term. Dylan, are you planning on getting rid of that moustache? Probably, to be honest. Yeah, probably. Don't worry about that. It won't last too long. Good long-term replacement for Alonso. Already have City defenders. Yes, that's fine then. Maybe a Villa defender like Cash or Digne, or if not, Cody. He has some poor fixtures, Wolves, but yeah, I still think that's fine. Sell Gray or Bernardo for Foden. Bernardo. Already answered that football reels. I'd go for Dennis. ESR, Sufa, and Alonso out for Coutinho, Digne, Laporte. Good for a -4. It is, but I don't know about Smith Rowe, getting rid of him this week. And even Alonso. I'm not too sure about that one because they could both do very well this week. Yep, 5 minutes to deadline. Save transfer and keep Kane this week. Maybe. The thing is, though, Kane is facing Chelsea, and if you're getting rid of him anyway, you could just get rid of him for a double game week player, potentially. Play Gallagher or Dyer this week. Gallagher all day long. Gallagher. Who will you replace when Salah's coming back? Ronaldo and probably Gray. Yeah. Start Cash or Bowen? Cash or Bowen? I would start Bowen all day long. KDB or Dennis captain? Dennis. Okay, you know what? Same guy. Bye-bye. See you, chump. I'm probably going to have to say that every time I ban someone now. Should I captain De Bruyne or Dennis? Dennis, mate. Only 4 minutes to go, yes. ¿Alguna noticia de Ronaldo? Hay un video de él entrenando, así que no sabemos qué va a pasar, pero Rania que está hablando de que él tenía un problema con su cuello, pero creo que va a estar bien. Watkins for Antonio. Yeah, I think it's a good move, but Antonio's still a good choice long term as well. But yeah, Watkins, especially if he has a double, could be very, very good. And even this game week, you'd probably back Watkins a bit more. But both teams they're facing are quite weak defensively. Bench DCL or Antonio. I would bench Antonio this week. Bench Sufal or Gallagher. I would bench Sufal. Dallo or Tierney. Tierney. Yeah, I think that pretty much covers it. Best of luck, Dylan. 3 minutes to go for the deadline. Yeah, thank you very much. Good luck to you as well. Start Bernardo or Tomiyasu. I'd probably go for the attacker, but I'm not a big fan of Bernardo right now. Mount or Rafinha. Rafinha. Antonio Ronaldo to sell for King. Looking long term, you have to sell probably Ronaldo out of those two. But yeah. Is King a better option to captain than Dennis? No, not for me. Dylan, who will you be swapping out to bring Salah back in? I literally said that like 2 minutes ago. I would get rid of Ronaldo and also Gray. I would have enough money to do that, I think. And if not, I'd have to also downgrade a defender. Thanks. Thank you very much. Suriyash. Probably butchered the name. Madison, Bowen, Jota, Odegaard, Antonio bench. I don't know how many to bench, to be honest. I'd definitely start Jota. I'd probably start Bowen and Madison as well. Bench Cash or Cucurella? I would bench Cucurella. There's not much in it though. Dennis, King or Pedro? Dennis for me. Dennis, Antonio, Dallo to start. Dennis. Why would you bench Dennis? I mean, probably because of the COVID rumours, but yeah, I'd still start him. Worth it to take out Alonso this week? I'd probably say no because he is facing Spurs. He has a great record against them, but yeah, then again, he's been very poor. I can't wait to get rid of Alonso as well. Start Region or Mount? I would start Mount. Antonio to King. A good move for Game Week 23. Not beyond that, though. Thank you, Ayan. Much appreciated. Dennis or Watkins? For Game Week 23, it has to be Dennis. Long term, that's where it gets a bit tricky, but I'd probably just say Dennis. I've got KDB for captain and King for vice. That's fine, and I probably would have done the same in your shoes. If it was Dennis or KDB, I'd go for Dennis, but as for King, KDB, I just prefer KDB, even if he has a single game week. Bench Watkins or Bowen? I'd bench Watkins. Fair enough, Ashish, that looks fine. I'm not a big fan of goalkeeper transfers, especially Foster, but he has a double, a nice one at that, so not too bad. CR7 to King. Yeah, I mean, it's not too bad. Thank you very much, Nicholas. Yeah, 1 minute to go. 1 minute to go. Bench Ronaldo or Bruno? I wouldn't bench either, to be honest, but based on everything we're seeing, probably Ronaldo. But I probably wouldn't do that. 1 second, just checking Twitter, seeing if there's any news. You never know. Brownhill over Emerson, first on bench? Definitely. I'd definitely do that. Bench, so that have Antonio and Bowen start Gray over. Maybe Antonio, but not really a big fan anyway. Martinez or De Gea? This week, I'd probably go for Martinez. There's not much in it. I went for Pedro. That's really nice. Hopefully that goes well for you. Thanks, Dylan. Good luck this game. Good luck to you as well. Coutinho versus Bowen. Who to play in the first team? I submitted Dennis in for Watkins in 30 seconds. Fair enough, fair enough. Coutinho versus Bowen. Who to play in the first team? Bowen. Cancelo or Foden for captain? I would go for Cancelo. And that's it. We're done. Yep, exactly. Best of luck to all of you. Yeah, I've seen some people make some last minute decisions as well, which I'm not surprised about. That's the kind of environment we're living in at the moment with FPL. Hopefully things do calm down a little bit though. But yeah, I could have got King in the end, but I decided to roll the transfer. And by the way, Man City are in talks to sign Julian Alvarez, who's a very promising youngster. I think he was one of only a few youngsters in 2021 to have more than 40 goal contributions. Copa America winner, won the league in the Argentinian division, so he's a very promising player. I think that would be an astute signing, but yeah, let's wait and see. I wouldn't consider him for FPL though, just to make that clear. Yeah, let's go. Yeah, that's my team on screen. We're locked in, and whatever happens, happens. If Ronaldo misses out, we have Gray. If we have postponements, who cares? So be it. Thank you to everyone who tuned in today. Yep, we are locked in. Thank you, Ashish. Big up India as well. Deadline locked. Yes. Trossard and Antonio for KDB and Dennis for -4 thoughts. That looks good, mate. I would have gone for it, but the deadline has gone. I took a hit for Coutinho. Really hope he does well. Yeah, good luck with that, and hopefully he does well. Thanks, Dylan. Just joined the stream. Which players did you bring in this game week? I only brought one, Rafinha, in for Trossard. CR7 on my bench, yes. Let's wait and see what happens there, but he was in training today. Let's wait and see. Hi, mate. What do you think of Bruno to Rafinha? I mean, I just keep Bruno, honestly. But yeah, Rafinha's a good long-term option. Julian Alvarez is a killer. He's a good player on the R as well. But yeah, he's looking good and promising. He's even getting games for Argentina as well. Good luck to you as well, Marco. Thanks, Dylan. Good luck, everyone. Good luck to you as well, Galactic Hobbit. Good luck to you as well, Sharia. Surely Everton get their act straight under Duncan. Yeah, I think DCL should be a good option over the next 5-10 game weeks. So, bit more promising, but still, we haven't seen anything yet. Being a procrastinator helps a lot in FPL. Finally doing something I'm good at. I'm sure you're good at other things. I'm probably better at those things than FPL. So don't worry, mate. I rolled the transfer. I probably would have done the same thing if I didn't make dumb transfers last week. But fair enough. That's fine. And you're in a good position for next week. Locked in. All the best, mate. You too as well, Elliot. Which team do I support? Unfortunately, I support Arsenal, but yeah, I'm kind of more detached from them day by day. Mark, good luck all. Good luck to you as well, Mark. All the very best of luck to everyone else who's tuning in. And once again, if you haven't already, smash the like button and subscribe for new. We're trying to get to 10,000 subscribers. We're not too far off, so any subscription is massively appreciated. And also, any like on the video. So let me just double check. We probably have, 175 likes. So we can get to 200 likes even after the stream is ended. So that would be much appreciated. So thank you very much. Yeah, good luck to you as well, Mark. De Gea, Antonio Gray, Reguilon, all of them on the bench. I'd be a bit concerned about maybe Antonio Gray, but I think that's fine. It's not too bad. Thanks for your help, Dylan. May you get the green arrow you deserve. You too, Marco. Thank you very much. And we'll just wait and see. We'll see what fate has in store for us. And I decided not to buy into the hype. I considered King and Pedro and Lowton very briefly. It's not a great double game week though, even though Watford have a very good set of fixtures. Force on Oscar to Barca rumours. I mean, Barca. I never really rated Oscar that much, to be honest. And he went to China for so many years. I mean, I don't know. He could do all right, but I don't know. It just gives me Coutinho vibes, and Coutinho's arguably a better player right now. So yeah, I'm not sure about that. Let's go. Hope everyone has a green arrow. Yep. Thank you very much, Uma, for the good vibes. Thank you very much. Brought in Cancelo and King for Watkins and James. Double up on City defense and Watford attack. That's a good idea, mate. And yeah, Cancelo's a must-have for me. Ronaldo or King, what's the best option? The deadline's already passed, mate. But for this game week, King is a better option. Longer term, probably Ronaldo, especially with a potential double in 25. Thank you, Sidinger. Good luck to you as well. Didn't get Brownhill over Emerson on benching time. Doesn't really matter anyway. Should be fine. But yeah, Brownhill would have been my preference. Is CR7 still injured? He's got a neck problem, but he was in training today, so he should be fine. Welcome, Assad. Yeah, I already answered that question, eh? Try not to put that question one more time. Because like I said, people will be banned and stuff, which isn't obviously ideal. But thank you to everyone. If you've got any last questions or comments, let me know. We are going to be wrapping up very soon. And yeah, we're very close to 10,000 subscribers. That would be massively appreciated. All the links are in the description below. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram, Dylan_RCM, and also the Discord server. Yeah, we're 11 likes away from 200. So if you haven't already, we've gone through, 2.5 hours? We started at 4:30, didn't we? So yeah, over 2 hours of answering questions. So be sure to smash the like button and subscribe if you're new. And let's see. Who would you have benched between Bowen, KDB, Rafinha, Saka and Jota? I would have benched... That's a tough one. If you're looking at the fixture, you probably would have said Bowen. Yeah, probably Bowen actually, even though I'm very reluctant to say that. thanks for the help. All the best this week. Thank you, Braden. Thank you very much. Hopefully I said that right. But yeah, thank you very much, mate. And all the very best of luck to you as well. Same with you, Kai. Good luck to you as well. And to everyone watching, I call the transfer. I'll roll the transfer. What do you think? I think that's fine. I already said you're in a good position for next week. Ranić strangling CR7 for him to have a neck injury, probably. And Ranić, I just don't trust him. I literally don't trust him. Which midfielder would you suggest for around 6 million instead of Bernardo? Rafinha, Gallagher, Coutinho. Those are the sorts of options I'd be looking at. Thank you very much to everyone. Let's now start to wrap up. And you already know the drill. You know what to do. Share this video around as well with those who watch FPL. And also UCL Fantasy videos will be coming up for that as well very soon. And those are my socials. Thank you very much for tuning in. And my voice has gone literally from yesterday as well. So I'm going to take a break as well. Are you going to play Wildcard Fantasy? I'm not completely settled on that yet, but I think I will. I'll let you guys know closer to, the actual, December. We've still got nearly a year until that happens, but I'll let you guys know. But yeah, I might play it, and if I do, I probably will be making videos about it. Dennis will have more bonus points because King does miss chances, but let's wait and see what happens. You never know. King could end up doing what Bruno did and outscore Dennis. Savio, I brought in Rafinha for Trossard. Pretty plain move there. Thank you, Galactic Hobbit. See you as well. Looking forward to the match tonight. Yeah, should be good. Hopefully we've got some good football this weekend. What to do with James and Rudiger? Sell, mate. They've got blanks coming up. James is injured for at least another month or two. How to bring Salah? Looking at your team, Bruno has to be the cash cow unless you change your entire structure, but it would just be much easier to do Bruno to Salah. That is your way of doing it. And yeah, just get rid of James and Rudiger. Do James to Laporte, for example, and do Rudiger maybe to a cheaper defender, maybe a Wolves one or an Aston Villa defender who could have a double game week. So Digne or Cash. Thank you, Laga. Thank you, Zulu. Solid stream. You're literally my go-to. Thank you very much. It means a lot. And good luck to everyone here. If you have any questions or comments that you want that I haven't answered, leave them in the comment section and I'll try to get back to you. Enjoy the football and good luck. All the very best. And I'll see you next time.